Hello, hello YouTube, hello VOD watchers. How's it going? I always sort of try and think of the starts of my streams because I feel like I haven't really put on waiting screens mostly because I'm trying to think about like the VOD watchers, the people who like I don't know who they are, but they click on random streams. I guess it's more like people who actually follow the streamer already than you're gonna find like new people clicking on a random stream VOD. But I don't know, I still think about that. And also like, I guess I sort of think of it like as if you're doing like a let's play to like a not live audience, as if you're just like talking into the mic, old school YouTube let's play style, to some, you know, vague audience that is like watching it in the future. Because you really, I don't know. When I start stream, like I often have like less than 10-15 minutes of like, you know, warning beforehand because I kind of don't really have a schedule. But you know, maybe it would be good if I did. But I don't know. This kind of works for me. I don't really mind. Anyway, we've got a 20th anniversary update for Half-Life 2. There's a whole 2-hour documentary video that I just finished watching today, where they revealed new stuff about episode 3, the episode 3 that never came out. And there's like a whole new update. It includes the episodes 1 and 2. The game is free to keep on Steam right now if you somehow do not own Half-Life 2 at the moment. It's a very good game. I forget when I actually played this last, because I think I played through with a bunch of like graphics mods. It might have even been the Fake Factory Cinematic mod. And so I think I wasn't getting the original experience because those like graphics mods change up the like visuals of the game a lot, to the point where sometimes you can't read things as well as like the game designers intended. I remember there was like 1 or 2 puzzles in episode 1 or 2 where you're like in a cave and there's a like a gear on the ground that you're supposed to connect to a machine, and I couldn't find the gear because there was so much clutter added due to the visual mods I had installed. So anyway, we're finally getting the updated vanilla experience, and I also wanted to play with the developer commentary track on because they just added it for the 20th anniversary update for the OG Half-Life 2. The episodes already had developer commentary. Anyway, during the commentary, we're playing on hard because I don't know, last time I played this game, wasn't that hard. Achievements cannot be earned. Okay, that's fine. Oh wait, I should have installed the workshop mod. That makes G-Man say, "Go fuck yourself."
Rise
but
and shine,
Hello, Justin
Mr.
Impeachable.
Freeman. Rise and shine.
Hello, Danica. Okay, this is kind of loud, actually.
I wish to imply
Can I pause this? Yeah, okay. God, so many games that you like can't pause during cutscenes.
I've been sleeping on
Nowadays.
the job. No one is more
Actually, that's still like a little loud. So we
deserving of a rest. All the effort in the world would have gone to waste until
the sound design in Half-Life 2 Source Engine.
Let's just say your hour has come again.
It's like so iconic. It's like there's so many I don't know, videos about
can make all
the like odd ambiance of like empty Source Engine maps, because a lot of them were using Half-Life 2 assets and Half-Life 2 background noises and stuff like that. Oh no, my FOV is too low. Every time. That is the highest. That's 110 FOV. It's the highest it can be. What does 70 look like then? Why? Oh shit, I think I have... Do I have a chroma key on? What the heck is going on with OBS? That is weird. That is weird. Hold on. Filters? No, not properties. Allow transparency off. Okay. There we go. That was That was a unique experience. That was an interesting experience. I didn't even notice until now, I think. Oh, it must be like the transparency, the way the transparency is like rendered in the game, because I saw the windows were like rendering properly. Anyway, let's see what 75 FO the default looks like. Wait, there's a default. Wait. Oh no, did they break this? Oh well. Oh well. All right.
I'm Gabe Newell, and welcome back to Half-Life 2.
Oh my god, it's Gabe Newell, and his mic sounds like a potato mic. I heard some people talking about that when I saw it. I'm looking for closed captions or subtitles. Closed captions.
It's been a long 20 years since its release. In this anniversary update, we've tried to respond to as many of the community's requests as possible.
Community's
And while
requests,
this
yay!
might not be the absolute
Yay.
-1 request from fans, I often hear how much
Does crouch jumping work differently in OG Half-Life 2?
So we're excited to finally make that happen.
Anyway.
Not only was it a
Maybe the
challenge
FOV is
to
like a
remember many
commentary
of the details
thing.
of Half-Life 2's development, but it's not easy to crack open decades-old computer code and wonder what the hell you were thinking way back then.
Is there like a trigger to automatically crouch on these
We
seats?
cleaned up a bunch of old bugs.
Interesting.
And tried to leave
So you
things
can just
in
like
better shape than we found them.
jump on a
And
seat
at least this time,
and
we
sit
have
down.
the luxury of knowing how things turned out in the end. To listen to a commentary note,
And we have the
put
luxury
your
of knowing how
crosshair
things
over
turned
the floating
out.
commentary
Yeah.
symbol and press your
Yeah,
use
it's the future
key. To
now.
stop a commentary node, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press the use key again.
Thanks.
And please let me know what you think. You can reach me at Gabe N
Gabe
at valvesoftware.com.
At valvesoftware.com.
And have fun.
I saw that on Twitter. People were like posting snippets of the developer commentary. And the whole Gabe N. He's been very careful about his pronunciation of that email ever since. When was the last like Gabe N? Was it like TF2? Was it Portal? I think like by Portal 2 he was saying stuff like GABEN.
Physics
Anyway.
objects.
Oh, physics objects.
It might be hard to remember it now, but back when Half-Life 2 came out, small objects in games, like these bits of trash,
Oh, my head's kind of
were
covering
usually
part of the
static, as in
captions.
They
Oh
didn't
well.
really move, or
Hope
if
you
they
can
did,
hear
it
it.
was in a very simple way. If you were lucky, they might break apart into some sprites if you hit them. One of the goals for this initial train station section was to really make it clear to players that these kinds of things were properly, physically, actually being simulated in Half-Life 2. They could be picked up, dropped, thrown, broken, moved by other forces.
Maybe I should raise the game volume now, because these commentary notes seem a little quiet.
Here we're starting with just a small thing, showing that trash is being blown by the arrival of the train.
Oh yeah, they mentioned
Or,
this in
more
the
specifically,
documentary.
An invisible volume that's triggered by the player leaving the train.
There's like there's a trigger to blow the trash with the wind, and like all these little physics objects and stuff are to like show off the whole physics engine.
Train station.
Train
The beginning
station.
of a Half-Life game has a big job to do. We have to introduce players to a new world while teaching them how to interact with it.
Feels so weird
Players
with
need
the
to
FOV
quickly
this
grasp
low.
what's happening, who the key players are, what threats they face, and how they fit into it all. Above all else, it has to be as fun and interactive as possible. Nailing this takes a lot of iteration and playtesting, especially on the small moments that make up a bigger picture of the game. In this section, we'll
should
highlight some
bind.
key moments, game design problems, and a few playtests where things didn't quite go as planned.
I forgot what the command was. I want to bind mouse wheel down to jump as an extra key. I guess I can just bind it as the only jump. From my understanding, you can't really back up in like the episode engines. You should be able to ABH. I don't think I ever learned how to do it though. But from my understanding, you just V-hop backwards. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, I guess I don't have it.
Metro cop shoving citizens. We've only walked a few feet and we're
it's
already
this one.
got problems to solve.
There we go. Also mentioned
We're introducing the
in
Metro
the
Cop,
2-hour
an enemy
documentary.
that eventually we're going to ask players to kill, and giving you a glimpse of the world they're stepping into. It's a simple, clear moment that shows the relationships between the Metro Cops and citizens, and by extension, the player. At the same time, we decided to reinforce the existence of the core physics simulation, showing the way in which NPCs can casually interact with objects in the world. Seeing something like a suitcase knock into another and dislodge was pretty novel back then. These moments at the train station, where we combined
Yeah,
multiple
every single I
goals,
see
were the
speed
most
runs
successful.
doing is
They
bonking
felt
NPCs
natural,
on the head.
like the game wasn't pausing just to teach you a lesson.
Felt natural. The game wasn't pausing to teach you a lesson. That is cool. That is cool. Hi, Danica. Where's options? Keyboard. Advanced. Enable developer console and fast weapon switch too. Gotta. All right. Bind. What was it? Space plus jump. I have 2 binds, right? Yeah, there we go. All right, mouse wheel down and space to jump. He's everywhere. You're everywhere.
Sweeping Vortigaunt. Another key moment of storytelling and another nod to the physics system. Here, we're showing how Vortigaunt
the sweeping Vortigaunt,
world, which is a big shift from your Half-Life 1 role as enemies. Like so many moments in the train station,
watching you.
The sweeping Vortigaunt came from our constant hunt for ways to show characters interacting naturally with the physics
I'll be watching
system.
you.
Why just tell players Vortigaunts are friendly now, when you can show one casually sweeping the floor and knocking around some simulated objects? Nothing signals, hey, don't shoot me this time around,
every time I play
like
this.
someone willing to tidy up.
But that is a neat detail. Yes, Among Us. Among Us. Oh no, I can't fit it in. I love the freaking physics object sounds. Seeing a funny source engine physics object bouncing around, it's so funny.
It's safer here.
Were you the only ones on that train?
More storytelling, world building.
Citizens. When it came time to design the human citizens of City 17 and the world outside the city, we chose to include a variety of races, ages, and genders. This not only provided narrative context for the Combine's enslavement of all of humanity,
was it a
but
specific
it was also
old version? Actually, I think that has
anyone
AVH.
playing the game could see themselves represented in the Resistance, with everyone on Earth united against the Combine. While we found a number of candidates to use as reference in creating these citizens through our daily lives and connections, we ultimately resorted to advertising in the Seattle Times classifieds to reach the desired range of faces that we'd envisioned.
Overwatch stopped our train in the woods and took my husband for questioning. They said he'd be on the next train. I'm not sure when that was. They're being nice, though, letting me wait for him.
They're letting you wait for him. I'm messing with the head tracking thing. I'm sus. He's venting back and forth. Overwatch. Overwatch. Oh, right. We had Overwatch Classic. Man, I haven't played that game. I don't think I've played Overwatch. I think I played Overwatch 2 like once for like less than an hour. When it switched to Overwatch 2, I did play like a decent amount of the first, the OG Overwatch, before Overwatch 2. But anyway, yeah, the Combine, the world, the story of Half-Life 2 is pretty cool. Oh yeah, I love drinking whatever this is. Is it like already opened? That's concerning, to get an open can from a vending machine. I wonder what happened.
Natural storytelling.
Natural
to achieve
storytelling.
our world building and storytelling goals throughout the train station, we needed a natural way to deliver dialogue without it feeling too gamey or requiring tutorials. We noticed players often approached NPCs to get a closer look, so we turned that into an opportunity for the NPCs to acknowledge the player and deliver their lines.
Hello, hello,
This kept
Xenogoku.
interactions low-key, which was essential since the citizens aren't exactly
This is
too
one of the
cheerful
games
or
of all
lively.
time, Half-Life 2.
The simplicity of this approach also aligned with one of
I
Half-Life's
remember being
core
like really
storytelling
impressed
goals,
when I played it the
making
first
the
time.
narrative responsive to the
It's
player's
just
interests.
a really good game.
Some players
like
want to
a
dig
lot of
into
Valve
every
games are.
detail, while others just want to know what to do next. Giving players control over how much story they want to engage with, without it blocking progress,
Yeah,
is a
let's
goal
tip
we
over the
always try to
thing.
maintain
I love
in a
physics.
Half-Life game. Plus,
Man, I wish we
the
had
less
more,
complicated a feature
you
is
know,
to
interesting
implement,
physics stuff in
the
games.
more of it we can include.
Especially when you had games like, I don't know, Red Faction, Guerrilla, and stuff, adding crazy destruction systems. And now you get games that are basically like tech demos, and then like a billion other games that really aren't doing anything interesting. like physics or destruction or stuff like that. I guess there's the finals. I haven't actually played that. And then like Rainbow Six Siege had some interesting destruction stuff. Never actually played that either. But yeah, that's a good point about like.
Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water.
Put something in it to make you forget.
Don't drink the water.
I don't even know how I got here.
Being able to like
departing, but they never arrive.
Talking or not talking to NPCs.
I see they took your suitcase too. They can't get away with this.
They took my suitcase. The suitcase? I was supposed to have a suitcase. Anyway.
Early tech planning. Shipping a game always teaches us a lot. We finally get to find out which choices we made were good ones, and which were ones we should
I should replay Half-Life 1 actually. Actually, I got Black Mesa, like the remake of Half-Life 1, and still haven't played it yet. I still haven't finished it yet.
All kinds of player feedback to digest.
Maybe I should play that too.
From it, we tried to build a master list of things that Half-Life 2 was going to focus on. We didn't try to design a specific player experience. Instead, we found it more useful to approach the question from a technological standpoint. Black Mesa's security guards and scientists had worked well. What could we do if we pushed it really hard on characters?
Need a suit for this.
We liked our interactive storytelling. What could we build that would allow us to do
feel pretty
even more
quick
of it,
still
and a greater
like
variety?
Half-Life 2 compared to like modern
the
games.
Exploration and interaction with the Black Mesa was compelling to players. Maybe a physics system would allow us to take that further. In all these
there's
areas,
a lot of like
we tried
fast
to imagine
movement
the
shooters
best version of it
too.
could look like years in the future, and bulk solve from that a set of technological steps that might get us there.
Interesting. Technical steps that could get us there. Yeah, I know they really wanted to like keep pushing the bar of like Half-Life 2, and then part of the reason Episode 3 never came out is because it took so long, and they kind of felt like they needed a new big like technological improvement.
Creating a sense of immersion was a core principle
also
in our approach to
Half-Life 2 Episode 3 got like kind of crazy.
And it led us to the self-imposed constraints of never, or at least very rarely, taking control away from the player and of keeping the player's avatar silent. These limitations made storytelling more challenging at times, but we felt it was important to stay with them for Half-Life 2. Our hope was that by maintaining these principles, we'd push ourselves to explore deeper, more interactive storytelling.
Welcome.
I wonder, is my mic picking up my mouse scroll wheel sounds? I kind of realized when I was recording the video that I just put out that my mic was picking up my scroll wheel.
That's enough of that.
Stop that.
I remember there was one clip, I forgot, actually no, it was in the Half-Life 1 documentary, where I think Gabe is talking about how if you interact with the world in a video game and it doesn't like react back, like you shoot a wall, if there's no bullet hole, it's like an insult to the ego of the player, right? It's like you aren't, you know, having an influence on this world. So noticing things like you can throw stuff at the citizens and they respond is cool. More stuff for player interaction. Alright. Move it. You have a prospect. Don't move. Don't move. You can't tell me what to do. There's the guy. The Metro cop with the funny voice.
Characters. In Half-Life 1, security guards and scientists could best be described as archetypes, not individuals. They were abstractions of characters that matched the visual fidelity we could achieve at the time. But as our technology improved with Half-Life 2, we saw an opportunity to move beyond abstractions. The increased visual fidelity of the character models, combined with improvements in animation, made us believe we could focus on creating individual characters, people you would actually care about.
Can you still do the thing, or is
we
that like
allowed
an older
ourselves
version
to write real
that the
dialogue
speedrunners use?
and have characters deliver it in a way that felt realistic enough for players to not think about them as pawns in a video game, and hopefully propel our narrative forward. In 2001,
They just make you
a
drop
couple
the
of years
things.
into development, we were energized by Japan Studios' Eco, directed by an animator It blew us away with its reliance on
Eco.
characters.
I've heard that name. I still haven't played it. I think I've seen a
giving us
few
the
videos
courage
talking
to
about
keep
it.
pushing forward.
But yeah, characters.
Yeah, you and me both, Doc.
Characters now.
board
No
the
longer
Express
just
to Nova
generic scientists. We have
Prospect.
Kleiner. We have Barney from Black Mesa.
I'm thinking. Alex is around here.
Man. Oh man, I've still been thinking about the getting a RAM upgrade.
As long as he
I
stays
was
away from checkpoints, we should be okay.
back reading
Listen,
the
I gotta go, Doc. We're
conversation
taking enough
on
chances as
Discord
it is.
about 32 gigs versus 64 gigs now being like kind of what you need, and now that I'm doing like
Okay,
video
Gordon,
editing stuff, I'm
you're gonna
kind of
have to make
realizing
your own way to
maybe
Dr.
I do need
Kleiner's lab.
more RAM. Maybe it is a pretty good idea to
That's what I was afraid
get
of.
even more
Get it,
RAM.
Gordon, before you blow my cover.
Blocking tutorials.
Ba-ba-ba.
At times, we need to be certain the player
But anyway, I
has
had
learned something,
troubles running
and the
Half-Life
standard-
Alyx, actually. Let me pause. I had troubles running Half-Life Alyx. I think the game would crash a few times, so I'm hoping that a RAM upgrade would fix that. So I never actually finished Half-Life Alyx, but I do... Well, one, I have a VR set, so I can actually play it. Two, I have the game, but I never finished it. And it's been long enough that maybe I'll just replay it, and maybe we can do it on stream. But it is a really cool and interesting game. Kind of sad that VR hasn't like completely revolutionized gaming, and I kind of just keep it in the corner of my room, not really playing it, but it is cool. It is cool. Probably need to clear up some of my space though. Actually, no, I have a decent enough rectangular space to do VR in. Anyway,
method, at least in game development, not in
I
life.
think streaming it especially is gonna be kind of
trapped in
difficult
behind a gate of some kind.
from
where the player must
computer
demonstrate
hardware.
their knowledge to be
So I
able
should
to
definitely
continue.
get more RAM for that.
We try to disguise these gates as something natural, so it doesn't feel like the game has come to a halt. Of course, time,
The gates,
resources, or the
tutorialization,
environmental
puzzles
context
built into the
itself
game.
can make that tricky. In this case, we needed to teach the players how to move objects, so a simple stacking puzzle seemed like the best solution. We tested more complex designs, but they ended up being less effective at teaching the actual thing we needed the player to learn.
I know, I've seen so many like videos and like video essays on like game design where they talk about these like little moments where you like tutorialize a thing and it's sort of like built into the game. So you like sort of make sure that the player knows something, and it's like, you know, but it's not like they're beating you over the head with text boxes. I mean, it works for some games, or I guess in some games it's maybe less elegant, but the game's still like a good game. Like in Doom Eternal, when they, you know, completely pause the game, put you in a virtual reality area to show you that if you use the flame belcher, then the enemies burn and they drop armor shards. I guess it's kind of hard to, you know, tutorialize some things in like a way that's natural and
blocking
sort of
tutorials
fits.
too. There are two failures of note in this tutorial. First, players can break it by tossing all the boxes out the window, which is obviously not great. This leaves them stuck and unable to continue, which we consider a game-stopping bug that must be fixed. A clean solution would have been to tweak the window or crate sizes so that the player
I
could
love
fit
soft
through,
locks.
not the crates.
I love
The
players
problem
being
was
able to
that we
soft
really
lock
only caught
themselves.
This problem late in development, and making even a simple change like that can have
It's
unpredictable.
okay, we just need to find a
game-breaking
new bug that
consequences.
lets us
And right before launch,
unblock
no less.
ourselves from the soft lock.
Also, this issue was purely theoretical. We'd never actually seen players do it. Our playtests of the design space had gone smoothly, with players learning what they needed and moving on. So changing the room's design this late in the game could have disrupted that success in ways that we couldn't foresee. So we opted for a more conservative fix rather than something elegant. If you're curious, try tossing all the boxes out the window.
They actually added something. Oh, is it? Is it related to these boxes down here? I guess we'll find out. Here we
Blocking
try.
tutorials 3. The second failure in this tutorial space is a case of misteaching, where we accidentally teach the players something we didn't intend. This can be hard to avoid without extensive playtesting, since the game is always teaching, even when it's not by design. We cover a more extreme example of this later in Train Station. Some cases of misteaching are critical to fix, like if the player learns the wrong way to use a weapon or interact with a common element of the game. But this one was more subtle. While teaching players to move objects, we also taught them to stack physics objects to escape a space. Normally that's fine, except we don't deploy that puzzle later in the game, and teaching something irrelevant just clutters up their mental toolkit and makes it harder to readily keep useful things in mind later on. Worse, stacking objects to escape the play space become a problem later on, something we had to actively prevent in multiple areas. With so many physics-based objects in the game, blocking this behavior without putting ceilings everywhere wasn't really an option. In the end, we hoped players wouldn't overthink this early lesson, and when playtests showed players getting stuck later on, we made sure not to remind them of it.
Interesting. Oh, what? All my old saves from 2012? Oh my god, that is old. Hold on, I wanted to I think I'm gonna have to reload from the beginning since I didn't save, because I wanted to see what the thing is. The anti-soft lock measure. It's okay, we can speed through this relatively quickly.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine.
I should have installed the
I wish to imply you have been sleeping on the job. No one is more deserving of a rest, and all the effort in the world would have gone to waste until...
Is that like actually the same?
Let's
like,
just say your hour.
Did they just like import it into Source? Prisoner pods and the Citadel.
The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
Breathing noises. While I was like editing that video that I just uploaded, I like noticed my breathing noises. It made me feel a little self-conscious about it. Like, oh, maybe I need to like turn my head away from the mic to breathe, like Tay Zonde in Chocolate Rain. Sniff.
Well.
End of line. Okay. So I think you can go slightly faster than like the normal. Yeah, you definitely go faster with the normal move spit if you know, jumping. Kind of reminds me of like Minecraft, but like, you know, there is like a bit of a like speed limit. All right, there we go. All right. Come on. I have to go through the whole cutscene again. Okay, this time we can actually like listen to what's happening in the cutscene actually, instead of listening to the commentary. Okay. Hurry up, Barney. Sorry, did I say Barney? Oops. I meant unknown, unfamiliar Metro Cop. I have no idea who this person is. Get in. No, I'm good. Thanks, dude. Okay.
I'm gonna need me some privacy for this.
Is that warning when you like get close to the thing?
About
The
that
little
beer I
world
owed you.
building thing.
It's me, Gordon. Barney
from Black Mesa.
Hey, sorry for the scare. I had to put on a show for the cameras. I've been
Where's
working
the-
undercover with
hold
civil
on, was
protection.
it F6?
I can't take
Yeah,
too
quick
long or
save.
they'll
There
get
we go.
suspicious. I'm way behind on my beating quota.
Yes, Barney, what is it?
I remember seeing like discussions of like, is the beating quota a canon thing, or was Barney just making a joke? I wonder if that's people like reading too deeply
Yeah,
into
you and me both, Doc.
random voice
He was about
lines.
to board the express to
Barney
Nova
does sound like the guy to like joke about that kind of thing.
I'm thinking.
Alex is around here somewhere. She would have a better idea how to get him here.
Oh, as long as he
Alex.
stays away from checkpoints, we should be okay.
Alex.
Listen, I gotta go, Doc. We're taking enough chances as it is.
Very well. And, Gordon? Good.
That looks like, yeah, that
Okay,
looks like a
Gordon,
very
you're gonna have to make your
deliberately
own way to Dr. Kleiner's
coded
lab.
fix for the glitch I see speedrunners doing to,
Before you blow
you know, bonk characters on the head. Thanks for the info, Barney. Alright, let's see what happens when we soft lock ourselves, since apparently they added something late in development. It's a magic respawning crate. Wow. You can't soft lock yourself. Incredible. So I guess that is like an inelegant but working solution. Oh, breaks. Wow. Look at all these boxes.
Fall damage. Teaching players how to do things is an essential thing for the game to do. But for them to make confident decisions, they also need to understand the more subtle rules. This small moment covers two of those. First, it shows how far the player can fall without taking damage. Second, it introduces a bit of the game's vocabulary, how the game will communicate with them. Players often worry about taking fall damage, but they also worry about taking a step that they can't take back. So here, a welcoming crate to land on signals that dropping down is safe and it's the way forward. And when the crate breaks, it reinforces the physics simulation.
Oh, did we actually break the crate with one of the crates we threw down?
Larger objects can be broken
That's
apart.
funny. The crate that's like scripted to break, unlike these crates where you just land on them, nothing happens. Interesting. Funny. Cinder blocks. I sure hope no one's watching this like expecting me not to yap over all the developer commentary notes. If you're looking for a free developer commentary playthrough video, I think 3 Clicks Philip, or I think it's on his 2 Clicks Philip channel, has been posting like a developer commentary playthrough, I think. There's enough of that on YouTube already, or at least there's going to be with this 20th anniversary update. I think I can, you know, yap. I'm sure the people watching this stream are here for me yapping and not just for the developer commentary. I love both. Okay, I'll try and, you know, not completely drown out the developer commentary. But I do love these kinds of things from, I don't know, in Valve games and also in like did this room change? The vibe feels different. Also in like I watched like the Ultra Kill developer commentary, and that was done in like a multiple 7-hour live streams. So it is cool to see like the, you know, the thought process, the, you know, process behind making the game. Here we go.
Pick up that can.
Pick up that can.
Contextualizing tutorials, creating a story scenario in which they happen, lets us do more than just stop the game to teach players something. We get to add narrative value to the moment. Here, teaching the player how to throw objects is combined with a narrative setup that gives them a choice in how to respond. After watching the Metro cops casually abuse citizens, it felt right to put the player in a similar position next. If they had opinions on how the citizens should have reacted, now they get to express them. Playtesting showed most players either comply or refused the request to pick up the can, but some tried to avoid the confrontation entirely. Others would comply initially, then retaliate after feeling humiliated. By keeping the moment relatively constrained, in both terms of player actions and the space itself, we could generally react appropriately to whatever choice they made.
I missed. Oh no.
Playtesting. Playtesting is a core part of how we make games. We can never fully predict how players will respond or what they'll take away from what we've built. So we test to learn and hopefully improve.
Oh.
During a playtest, we don't guide or talk to the player, even if they're stuck.
There we go.
As it's extremely unlikely that we'll be sitting there next to the player once the game ships. Our goal is for testers to forget that they're playtesting altogether and play as if they're at home. Any interruptions risk skewing the data, so we only step in if there's a bug that's blocking progress, or more rarely, if their behavior is so confusing that we need to understand what they're thinking.
That is one thing I hear like about playtesting in general, is that you should try not to, you know, interfere in it to, you know, get the proper experience of how. No rations for me? Aw, man. But like to get the proper, you know, understanding of how a player is gonna play through the thing. Oh, here's a can. Here you go. Oh. I was trying to throw it away, man. I don't know why you're so mad.
Early in a Half-Life game, one of our goals is to make promises to the player, giving them a sense of what to expect later on. From movies to TV shows and books, all great entertainment does this in some way, and video games are no different. The promises in a Half-Life game can take different forms. Some are simple, like offering just a glimpse of something intriguing. Others are more layered, like the interactions with Metro Cops. By putting the player in a powerless position against them, we set the stage for that future moment when they can finally get to retaliate.
That is true. You go through a lot of this like opening sequence without, you know, having a weapon, being able to fight back, and these Metro Cops are messing with you, and then eventually you get the weapon.
We wanted the player's
So that's
first view of City 17 to highlight the Citadel and its dominance over the city, representing the Combine's complete
There we
and total
go,
power
the
over
Citadel.
humanity. It also needed to serve as a clear
Citadel.
goal. Even at the start, you can see
Reminds
where
me
your
of
journey ends.
Mirror's Edge.
But despite its massive
There's
size,
like a similar
playtesters
super tall
often missed
building.
it. A player's sense of depth and scale can be tricky on a computer monitor.
No, it's funny
If you've
hearing
played
them
any
talking
games in
about
VR, you'll likely
VR.
have noticed that scale
You know,
feels
since
more
this
natural.
developer commentary got added 20
Anyway,
years
in
after the
this
game
case,
came out.
The Citadel's position above the
And in
player didn't help
2004,
things
we
either,
didn't have
which may be because FPS
any
games
home
train
VR
players
stuff.
to focus straight ahead or down at their feet. To improve the chances of players taking in the Citadel, we added birds flying towards the structure. A subtle trick we found helps guide the player's view.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like I guess this isn't the same as like the forced perspective Disneyland stuff because you can literally just do that. One thing I noticed actually in Euro Truck Simulator and American Truck Simulator is that they do use like the forced perspective stuff for certain background objects that are super far away. Probably because they need to fit everything into the same map, like at Disneyland, Disneyland, Disney World, whatever. But like the thing where things that are meant to be farther away are just scaled smaller, so they aren't actually like, you know, at the proper size and scale and distance they are. I guess in this scene, like it's totally possible to have the Citadel be at its proper like scale and size. It's probably in the skybox because I know there's like a 3D skybox hidden somewhere in a lot of source maps.
As a species,
But yeah, it's quite a scene. Good art direction. Really makes a lot for a game compared to, you know, graphics alone. Especially modern games where you can just grab a game engine, make your game look photorealistic, but if you don't have, you know, the proper artistic work put in, it's not going to look amazing.
Ropes. One of the things we noticed in all of the reference images that we gathered for City 17 was that there were cables and wires everywhere, and that they were a large part of the high-frequency detail in view. We love the look of these older European cities enmeshed in the haphazard.
That's one thing I
web
always
of modern
noticed was
life.
like
we felt like we needed a solution for
anti-aliasing or like the lack of anti-aliasing
on and we wanted them to
those
be
cables.
dynamic.
Now they have a higher resolution.
Our level
monitor. It's
designers
like
were eager to create plug puzzles.
Not really
and
much of a
connecting
problem.
cord to each plug helped players better understand the mechanics. Early in production, we built a rope system and iterated on it throughout development. Under the hood, each rope is made of multiple segments stretched between the two endpoints.
Oh right, there's actual like physically
and they can move
simulated
independently.
ropes and stuff. You can see them in
Each
the Gmod.
segment acts like a spring and responds to forces in the game, such as a gentle wind or the passing of a Combine gunship overhead. When rendered, each segment is shown facing the camera and is bump mapped, which is crucial for giving the ropes a realistic, rounded appearance.
Yeah, they actually look pretty good, you know, at this higher resolution. I think at the time I was on a 1440 by 900 monitor, tiny one. So I was like, I had my face right up to that monitor and I could see every pixel if I didn't have anti-aliasing on. Or there's a lot of like transparent textures and stuff that don't get anti-aliased by MSAA. I don't know what they've done with the new engine, but it looks pretty smooth.
Playtesting Anecdote 1. One memorable playtest reminded us that we can never be certain what players are thinking or what lessons they've taken from their experience. This tester, after playing from the start and stuck trying to open a door, spent several minutes going back and forth between the game and the keyboard settings.
Hopping.
When we asked what they were looking
Even
for,
with the speed
they
cap.
said they were searching for the inventory controls, thinking they could use an item they'd picked up earlier to unlock the door. While we'd seen them collect and drop several physics objects, they'd misunderstood what was happening. The tester believed that pressing the use key while holding an object moved it into an inventory because the item dropped straight down. We knew it was just gravity, but their assumption wasn't crazy. Some adventure games of that era did slide items into an invisible inventory that way. We explained there was no inventory, and the playtest continued. Later, we considered whether we needed to address this, but since no other playtesters had the same confusion, and all of our potential solutions were more heavy-handed than necessary, we decided it was an outlier that was okay to remain unaddressed. It served as a good reminder, though, of how even the most subtle, overlooked details can mislead a player.
That's really interesting. And also pretty foreign to me, as someone who never really played, I guess that many adventure games. I guess I played games like BioShock or other... I guess BioShock's like kind of an immersive sim, but not really. But like mistaking gravity for an animation of something going into an inventory that doesn't exist, that's interesting. I keep thinking about the one developer commentary note in episode 2 about the playtester who kept looping back over the same cave for like 40 minutes, and then they changed the design to be more simple. I feel like I've seen a lot of discussion about that one online. About like, these are the people we are dumbing down games for. This is why we have yellow paint and glowing objective markers and everything in modern games.
Exploration. After being herded through the train station by Metro cops, we wanted to give the player a chance to explore. This plaza offered several ways to interact with citizens, Metro cops, scanners, and the city infrastructure. We aimed for these interactions to continue building the world without
They're
needing
taking a
explicit
photo
control.
of me.
And we refine them until they work naturally, without any real
Did you
training.
get a good photo? Jeez. Alright. Scanners, the Metro cops, the buildings. Okay. He thinks I'm gonna attack him with my no weapons. I feel like I never look in this area. In this like plaza area. I think I remember actually like playing the Half-Life 2 demo and playing for like this area before I even like had the game. I remember playing, actually I played this and I played Lost Coast because that was free. And I had like an NVIDIA 9500 GT and my computer could just play this game. It was just enough to play Half-Life 2 and Team Fortress 2 on low graphics. And a Pentium 4 processor. Way back in the day.
Strider.
Way back when. The Strider!
This simple moment is a promise that you'll encounter this enormous thing later in the game. Even an uncomplicated scene such as
gun,
this
it has to go
really
off.
does require a
Chekhov's
lot
gun.
of playtesting and iteration because of Half-Life's goal of not taking control away from the player. As you can imagine, it takes a lot of small tweaks to ensure that as many players as possible are looking at the right place at the right time here. The street layout and the Metrocop scene are all set to guide the player's gaze, perfectly framing the Strider
So you
when
go
it appears.
here. You're looking down the street first rather than in the actual area we go next. And they time the Strider just so you walk past and see it. And then the Metrocop and the cars.
Early game exploration. Up until this plaza, the player likely hasn't had to think much about their path, as it's been clear and straightforward. But here, we wanted to encourage exploration, which meant making the way forward less obvious, which can produce a feeling of being lost or, worse, confused, as you might expect.
I blocked him.
These kinds of shifts can be tough,
He's
especially
lost.
early in the game, when the player is still learning the game's guidance cues. Here, it's further complicated by force-fielded checkpoints, which allow NPC citizens to move through, but restrict the player.
Well, that's interesting.
Leading
Does it
many
automatically
playtesters
crouch or
to
is that
believe
like
that there was a way to bypass them.
some kind of mantle thing?
Ultimately, It was extensive testing that helped us find the right visibility for the alley forward, using lighting, layout, and a wooden crate, an object players have already used as a sign they're headed in the right direction, all to subtly guide them forward.
Okay, they don't want me here. I wonder why. What did I ever do to them? Me, Gordon Freeman. Alright, the ladder is one way, right? Oh no, you can jump back over. Whee. Alright. Back here, another scene.
During Half-Life 2 development, we were approached by folks interested in accessibility who encouraged us to go beyond the subtitle system we had built for Half-Life.
Blood on the floor.
They requested a full-featured closed captioning system to capture all game sounds, not just dialogue. This turned out to be a much tougher challenge than expected. Half-Life 2 produced a wide variety of sounds, and categorizing them for captions was crucial. Prioritization was also key. Dialogue needed to stand out, and it had to be clear who was speaking. Ambient sounds,
Man, there's
like
a lot of
distant
commentary.
combat, were important for setting the mood and
I wonder
sound
if it's
levels,
just for this area that
but
there's
less
a ton
so
of
if there was an
commentary
enemy shooting
nodes.
nearby.
Because this is
Our
like an
level
important
designers
part of
also
the level,
often
but
reuse sounds
I
in
wouldn't mind
different
if there's like
contexts,
a ton
so
of
sound
commentary
might
at every
require
level.
captioning in one area, but not in another. Ultimately, every sound in the game ended up with its own caption data, formatted almost like a small version of HTML, giving us control over the visual style of each caption. As with the audio files, the caption data was too large to keep in memory, so we built an asynchronous caching system to handle it efficiently.
That's crazy. Attaching a small piece of data to like literally every sound in the game, all for the accessibility closed captioning option.
This is how it always starts. First the building, then the whole block. They have no reason to come to our place. Don't worry, they'll find one.
Any of you seen that the Interloper series by Anamide? It's like a Source Engine ARG, sort of horror themed, about like sort of ghosts and AIs in the Source Engine, and like this interconnected Source Engine void between games. It's really interesting. It's a really cool series. And then there's like all the like YouTube video essays about like the loneliness or the spooky ambiance of empty Source Engine multiplayer maps. 3 a.m. Neapolitan. Hello, JPZ. It's kind of late, isn't it? It is later than I'd usually stream. And it is a Sunday night, so if you have obligations in the morning, I completely understand. But if you want to ruin your sleep schedule with me, that's cool too. That's cool too. But, you know, I'm a firm believer that sleep is like extremely important. I try not to mess up my sleep schedule. I do end up messing up my sleep schedule occasionally. And I usually pay for it the next day in terms of like my ability to focus and be productive. But yeah, sleep is really important. I'm at work, so I'm gonna lurk a bit. The night shift. All right, have a good time. I wonder how many people watch me at work. It's something that I'm not unfamiliar with.
Physics simulation. Even though we began Half-Life 2 with a functional third-party
There's actually
physics
hold
simulation.
on. There's actually there's like a Giga clip where she talks about how her target audience is like tech worker who's bored at work and puts something on in the second monitor. I know I talk about second monitor content a lot because, again, it's like my preferred way of consuming stream content. Heck, if I was listening to like
Still took
someone's
us
playthrough of the Half-Life 2 developer commentary, it would probably be a second monitor content. Probably be more podcast style, occasionally like looking over to the second monitor, you know? So every time I say second monitor content, I hope no one's thinking like I'm like saying that in a negative way, like, oh, you should be watching me on the first monitor. Fuck you for not watching me on the first monitor. Because like I genuinely do that a lot.
Simulation itself and its integration into the game until we felt like we could meet our designer's ambitions. Maintaining a shippable level of quality and performance was something we knew would be a challenge along the way, but the more
There's a lot
subtle
of commentary
issue is
notes
actually
here.
figuring out
Like
what
ropes.
to simulate and to what extent.
We
can't
Wait,
simulate everything, and even if we could, there are game design reasons why the experience is better when we don't.
Oh no.
In many cases, we deliberately bend the simulation to improve
Oh
the
wait,
player's
I think I
experience.
remember something about
These
mass
adjustments
in the
usually
source
go
engine.
unnoticed because they align with
I
player
think I might know
intentions.
why I'm
For
falling off
example,
while I'm
we
crouching and
disable
not while I'm
collisions between
standing.
the player and large objects to let them turn in narrow spaces. Or we tweak the Combine rifle's alternate fire to gently guide the Combine ball toward enemies, making it more effective.
Yeah, all the funny like physics adjustments. Oh, the messed up
Great
doll.
baby. This small baby doll has a long legacy. During the long months of internal testing, some of the team turned it into a challenge, a way to make the 47th playthrough of a game a bit more fun.
Oh my
They placed the
god,
doll
this
inside
is
of a
the
nearby blue
origin of the
crate
gnome
and see how far they
achievement?
could carry it throughout the game. After Half-Life 2 launched, the community started carrying Crate Baby as well, adding their own stories and rules to the mix. A few years later, while working on Episode 2, this was the inspiration for the Little Rocket Man achievement, where players had to carry a garden gnome dubbed Gnome Chomsky throughout the entire episode. Chomsky even made a comeback
That's so
for Left 4
funny.
Dead 2 in the Garden Gnome achievement, where players had to carry him through the Dark Carnival campaign. These kind of interactions with players are some of the most rewarding parts of game development. We design games with theories in mind, but you never really know where things are going until players get their hands on it.
That's cool. I like little stuff like that. Scanner, I'm flashbang. I like how it's like a gray color and not like pure white. I don't know if they changed that like for the update. Anyway, what I was saying about masses earlier in the source engine, from my understanding, because this is how it works in TF2 and why crouching when rocket jumping in TF2 is so important, it's that your mass is determined by the player's bounding box, and the bounding box gets smaller when you crouch. So when you crouch, you have less mass. So I'm not entirely sure, but I imagine falling off the swing is somewhat related.
Physics
Great
Simulation
baby.
2. Areas where game design or other constraints impacted the physical simulation often required extra tuning to keep the simulation from blowing up. As an example, early on we experimented with increasing the simulation on the player entity, which is to say, make player movement much more a part of the physical simulation of the world. We knew this might make movement feel less precise, but hoped it could lead to some novel experiences. However, after tuning the movement to match the less simulated version, we hit a major problem. The physical force needed for the player to move at their usual speed was so high that simply running into other simulated objects could result in death from the impact. We iterated on it, but ultimately couldn't find a solution we liked and reverted to the less simulated movement. However, this wasn't exactly the easier path. It introduced new challenges with how the less simulated player interacted with the more simulated objects in the game. But it did allow us to deliver the precise movement experience we wanted.
That is really interesting. How like you know, how good source engine movement feels and how it interacts with the physics objects. So it's very like, you know, precisely made, controlled. Listen to those sounds. Oh, I killed it. Ooh. Oh. There we go. Oh, wins somehow.
Playground.
Playground.
When we discussed ways to highlight our physics simulation
Yeah.
around the city environment, a playground felt like the natural fit. And for players paying attention to Dr. Breen, it's also a reminder of the cost of humanity's surrender to the Combine.
Your
We chose a
reproductive
few
rights.
playground structures with interesting physics potential and began tuning them. Even with the advanced physics simulation we had at the time, setups like this always required hand tuning, as we had fully simulated objects interacting with non- or partially simulated ones, such as the player or static world geometry. It might be easy to assume that a simulation can carry a lot of the load of implementation, but even now, 20 years later, that is rarely the case. Back when we were working on the playground, late in development on the game, we couldn't get the friction on the slide to feel right, so we decided to break the ladder so the player couldn't get up there. However, you still can just walk right up the front. As is commonly the case, you, the player, get the last laugh on us.
That's funny. Oh well. Man, I love surf in the Source engine. I love surfing. I don't know if there's any, like, that many places to actually do that in Half-Life 2. But I played a lot of, like, TF2 surf, a bit of Counter-Strike surf, but mostly just, like, messing around in, like, open maps for deathmatch. But yeah, I love Source engine movement. It's my home. It's where I've been for my entire childhood, really. Wee. Okay. The boot. Hold on, actually I should bring the crate baby, because it's funny. No! I wonder if that sounds like means that it's you know, a doll with like a speaker in it. If it's like, oh no! Or it's like a squeaky toy. Oh no! No! I need to flip the crate. And you would do a sick Tony Hawk's Pro Skater kickflip. I'm trying. There we go. That doesn't even sound like Mama. Oh no! The poor baby. Oh man, I haven't played Gmod in like a billion years. It's funny seeing so many games add in like prop hunt modes from like, you know, Gmod prop hunt. I guess if you think about it, Among Us can be thought of as sort of similar to like Terrorist Town, Trouble in Terrorist Town. You know, the social deduction game, except in that game everyone had weapons and sometimes it just turned into random death matches. I didn't play that much of it though. Yes, there is a loading zone. Yes, we do have the crate baby. I killed the crate baby, no! No! It's like the, I don't know, school assignment where you have to, you know, carry a bag of flour to simulate having a responsibility for a baby.
Materials and shaders. Half-Life 2 came out in the midst of a significant shift in 3D graphics, where the industry moved from textures to materials and shaders. In Half-Life 1, every surface had a texture, essentially an image wrapped onto the polygons of the surface. But by Half-Life 2, just 5 years later, every surface had both a material and a shader. The shader was a lump of code that customized how the surface was rendered. The material defined properties for how the surface behaved physically and how it responded to gameplay features. It also held references to textures and other parameters for the shader to use for rendering. As a result, artists and designers had much more control over how things looked and behaved. However, this came with a trade-off. Half-Life 1 could run on a computer with only a CPU, but Half-Life 2 required a GPU because the computations needed for materials and shaders were specifically designed for GPU hardware. The refracting glass door here is a clear example of a custom shader, but every surface in the scene is actually running a shader of some kind.
Yeah, I took a class on graphics in college and learned about GPU, GLSL shaders. And I've messed around a little bit with shaders in Godot. And then seeing like a shader toy and websites like that. Those are cool. I killed it again. No, I'm too fast. I'm too powerful. The combine lock on the door. This little closet. This poor baby. I guess we could swap out the crate. You know, red crate? How do you like the red crate, baby? Going back to the blue crate? Yeah, I guess we're going back to the blue crate. I might just carry this crate through the... No! Through this whole developer commentary playthrough. Maybe I should change the difficulty, though, down from hard if I do that. Doesn't seem that unreasonable as long as you, like, take it slow. Oh, no. It's so over. I should really just be carrying these separately and, you know, saying screw it. Oh, my God. Look at that perfect landing. Oh. Who is it? Who's at the door? It's so over. These stairs. The baby's already dead 10 times over. Maybe we just give up after this.
Cube maps. With the addition of materials and shaders, we needed a solution for reflective surfaces like glass and steel. These surfaces had to know what to reflect, but in 2003 we couldn't do any of that rendering in real time. So we developed the cube map system for pre-computed reflections. A cube map is a set of 6 images on the inside of a cube, capturing the environment in every direction, like a panoramic photo that surrounds you on all sides. Level designers placed invisible marker entities throughout the levels, and during map compilation, we generate a cube map at each marker. Then, during gameplay, when rendering a reflective surface, we locate the nearest pre-computed cube map to create the reflection.
You know, the whole thing with cube maps is really interesting. I know that in Source 2, currently, they're using what's called parallax corrected cube maps. So a bit more advanced than, you know, the original cube maps, but they haven't, you know, switched to using like real-time reflections or in the same way that other game engines seem to be heading towards. I see a lot of discussions about like RTX on ray tracing, how like the actual like visual difference really isn't that big, because I think a lot of stuff has been faked really well for a very long time in terms of like 3D graphics and like reflections and stuff like that, and it runs like way faster than actually computing those, you know, real-time reflections. If you go in, okay.
Field of view. In Half-Life 1, we used a 90-degree field of view, or FOV, which was fairly standard for first-person shooters at the time. But during Half-Life 2's development, we grew unhappy with it. With our game's focus on characters, we'd put extensive effort into detailed facial and body animations. But the 90-degree FOV just didn't allow players to get close enough to fully appreciate that detail.
Look at those
So we
polygons,
began experimenting with a tighter
on the
FOV
textures.
and ultimately landed on 75 degrees. It took some adjustment for both us and players, and it required an additional FOV for view models, which are the player's weapon, held at the bottom of the screen. Their models were originally built with 90 degrees in mind, so they looked distorted at 75. But this change succeeded in doing what we wanted, putting our characters front and center in the game.
That's something I remember from like TF2, is the whole separate view model FOV and the view model FOV and the, you know, player's FOV is really detailed. Yeah, this room is, you know, pretty detailed, especially for 2004. This game looks really good. I know they did update the graphics a bit for the new 20th anniversary stuff, but it does look really good for a game for 2004. The commentary too. Yeah, the commentary is. This playthrough might take a really long time if there's a ton of commentary notes. Hello, Rez. How are you? I'm doing good. I love this game. Half-Life 2 is just a really good game, a really big part of my childhood. I remember the Ravenholm and the zombies giving me freaking nightmares as a kid. I guess not actually like actual nightmares. I feel like I very rarely had actual like nightmares as a kid, but I was like freaked out by certain things. And the zombies, it's pretty freaking horrifying if you really think about it. But really, that's a, you know, a narrative element that's been in since Half-Life 1. Ravenholm was so good. Yeah, they talked about Ravenholm a whole lot in the 2-hour documentary. This might as well be like a developer commentary and chatting stream. This is me reacting to the to developer commentary and incidentally also playing the game.
Reference maps.
Oh,
As our
haven't finished the first one yet, so I might not stay long for spoilers' sake. Hope you have fun. All right, have a good one. Me, it's been so long that I kind of forget that anyone like hasn't fully experienced Half-Life or like doesn't already know the entire story. It's kind of like to me it's like I don't know, Harry Potter at this point, given how old the game is. But that is true that like there probably is a decent number of people who haven't experienced a piece of media, even if it's older, and somehow haven't been spoiled by the internet. So if that's you, totally understandable.
Characters grew more life.
Yeah, enjoy. Honestly, I feel like the stories of the first game and the second game are very disparate, pretty separate. They're only really connected sort of by the characters and I guess like how we got to the the point in Half-Life 2. But there's kind of like a big time skip. So I sort of think of the stories as pretty separate. Am I late? Hello,
Like,
Felix
we have-
Valenti. You're late. We started an hour ago, actually. That's pretty cool. Anyway, welcome. Don't feel ashamed of being late. I know I only give like 10 to 15 minutes of warning before I stream. I'll be thinking about, hey, I'm probably going to stream later today, but I don't want to like make any promises in case I don't end up feeling like streaming, but I feel like maybe I should do that more and just like cancel if I'm really feeling bad about streaming. Medicat PP today and it was insane. He got a free software fix out of it. Nice. Congrats. I think I saw your Twitter post about that. That's cool. I still feel like, I don't know, I don't really see Pip-Up bands out in the wild unless I'm like going to an anime convention or something. I'm buzzing because it's the first time I met a VTuber fan IRL. That is cool, yeah. Yeah. Me trying to get my friends into VTubers or HoloLive or whatever, and they're only like, I don't know, I guess even me right now, like I'm really mostly watching small indie VTubers, like other FlaVR members and stuff like that. I feel like I haven't really watched a Pippa stream in a while. I'll still occasionally like tune in. But yeah, your tastes change. Your tastes might change. Or maybe you have your one Kamiyoshi who will last forever. But ever since Mayoshi graduated Beatani, it's kind of never been the same for me. I don't know. I guess I still feel like I don't have an Oshi for real. Like, I don't know. I guess my goal now is I want to grow and become someone good enough that I can consider myself my own Oshi. It's kind of an abstract kind of goal. Kind of like getting good at singing, right? Where does that end, right? When you're at the top of everything and you're the #1 in the world, which you probably won't be. Even then, I feel like being the best singer in the world is a very subjective thing. And when you reach a certain level of like popularity or quality or like being good at singing or whatever, then it's just sort of personal preference at that point. Whose voice do you like more, you know? But yeah, I guess nebulous is the word I'm looking for. It's a very nebulous goal. I do watch myself unironically, but only because I'm sometimes the only one making that kind of content. I think that's one thing I want to do is like sort of fulfill the underserved niche in my content. But I guess that's kind of like any kind of content creation, right? You yourself, you are going to be unique because you are unique because there's no one really like you out there, right? That's kind of just how this whole thing works, right? But yeah, that is interesting to think about. I think I'm getting more used to like hearing my own voice, and I had like not too much trouble editing down that video that I just uploaded about the whole YouTube demonetization thing about Juno Unagi getting demonetized for reused content, and I think it's a YouTube spam bot being out of control. Or like spam detection being out of control. So actually, yeah, I made that video because the whole thing was like weighing on my mind so heavily for a very long time. Cause like I've been working towards monetization for so long and I'm getting closer and closer to it. I'm like, what if I reach that point one day and I get hit with the same thing Donna did? That'd be fucked up. That'd be messed up. And I don't even have an audience to the point where I can make a big enough fuss on social media that these big companies will actually respond, right? Not saying that I don't have an audience. I'm very grateful for the people who are here and are watching me, but I don't know, making that tweet, it sort of dawned on me, and it really made me understand the, gap in sort of level of popularity between like a small creator like me and all the medium-sized to large-sized creators out there. And even then, there's like so many people. It's a big world out there. It's a big world out there. I'm not sure if I'm a big fish in a very small pond or if I'm a very small fish in a big pond. Or if I'm a small fish in a small pond. I'm probably a small fish in a small pond at this point, right? Anyway, not to get too negative about it, but it is something I think about a lot. I know Asmongold says it a lot. He's like, yeah, that's the way the world is. Suck it up. Fucking, that's how it works. Them's the breaks. Deal with it, man. And I think I respect how like real he is when he's giving takes like that. I respect how real Pippa is when she gives like her honest opinion on things. Sometimes you just gotta get real. Sometimes you gotta be real about things. And the reality is, I'm still small. So thank you if you are here. I appreciate you, my small community.
Half-Life 2, we wanted the game world to feel equally realistic. In Half-Life 1,
there's a missing
limitations
texture.
of first-person games often made it easier
to
lean on stylized or abstracted environments.
I don't know if you came here for
But with
the entire
Half-Life 2,
rant I
we
was
set out
giving
to
about
create a
being
setting that
small.
felt grounded in reality.
But I
which
was
meant
just thinking about the
focusing
video I
on
just
a lot
uploaded.
of small details we hadn't before.
Mm-hmm.
One of our main steps was creating reference maps to standardize how we'd map real-world proportions into the
I think
game.
I talk about a bit about my
These
feelings
maps establish
in
details
the video,
like wall
so
and door dimensions,
there's that if you want to watch
doorknob
it.
heights, interior lighting, furniture scale, and the general scale of common objects. We created standardized textures for level designers, complete with scale and lighting values.
Oh, that's why the dev textures have the whole like measurements on them.
From the start. Besides setting up the physical world, these reference maps
Real
defined
world.
how the player would move
Real
through
world
it,
sized.
how high they could jump, how low they could duck, and the size of spaces like vents. Using these
That is
maps
important,
as
right?
foundation, we were able to keep our
You have to
world
sort of
geometry
define that
consistent
pretty
and
early
ensure
on
realistically
because
sized
it's going to
spaces
affect
across
the
the
level
game.
design for the entire game. Like the player's movement, how low you can duck, how far you can jump. Because it's going to be a pain in the ass to really adjust all the levels afterwards.
This doesn't look good.
They're definitely coming in here.
They're definitely coming in here. Chase a rabbit. Hello. Hi. Hello. Showing off your Janny badge. I guess there isn't really an option to not.
Oh no. Now we're really gonna
Now we're really gonna get it. To not show the moderator badge, is there? I will likely play Half-Life 1 for the Wednesday stream. It's a good game, yeah. Been a while since I've played it. I forget. I think I actually played through Half-Life Source, the inferior version, but I know they recently updated Half-Life 1, or like relatively recently for like Steam Deck compatibility. I think that was also, was that the 20th anniversary update for that game? Or no, I think it was like a bit later. It was like relatively recently, I feel. I don't know, I might be misremembering. But yeah, it's a good game. Funny because I haven't played Half-Life 2, but I have like 200 hours in Gmod. Yeah, like the whole vibe of the Source engine is heavily, and like Gmod is heavily from Half-Life 2, since that's where all the assets come from. The ambient noises, the sounds that people write video essays about why Source engine maps, empty Source engine maps are the spookiest thing in the world. Or like the loneliness, isolation of Super Mario Galaxy or whatever, and then people make jokes about how dumb those essays are. Jalopy ass at my beloved. I'm hyper autistic about source engine sounds. Me too. Oh, I was playing what was it? Echo Point Nova. I like instantly noticed the shotgun reload sound. That's the shotgun reload from Half-Life 2. That's that sound. But yeah, I don't know, it's like so, I don't know, familiar and like nostalgic to me. I guess the question then becomes like, do I find it scary like those YouTube video essays talk about? Which I guess I don't really.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Voices of the Void has crazy amounts of Half-Life 2 sounds. Which one is that? Which one is that actually? Voices of the Void. Game. This game? On itch.io? This game. I've never heard of this. That looks cool. It's kind of giving me that era vibes between like Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2 graphics. Looks cool. All right. What am I? Edit's been playing it. Spooky game supposedly if you play it, do it blind. All right. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, I love the vibe. It's kind of gloomy and depressing, but I guess that makes sense given the narrative. But yeah, it does hold like a special place in my heart, the whole source engine ambiance.
Missing material. Early on in developing our low-level graphics code, we realized it would be
Missing
difficult
texture,
to
my
spot
beloved.
polygons that weren't rendering due to a missing texture. When this happened, you typically just see black where the polygon should
And
be.
the HL2 dev
which
commentary
can
of like the
easily go
textures, I think
unnoticed in
they
darker
added
scenes.
this alongside this.
To catch this
node.
bug more reliably, we created an error texture that would be visually unmistakable and generated automatically whenever a texture failed to load. This gave rise to the now iconic purple and black checkerboard texture, which has since taken on a life of its own well beyond Half-Life 2.
Now iconic, and also generated dynamically. I didn't know that part about it. I guess that makes sense because of how it like shows up in the game. I think they changed the texture filtering. I remember it being like a lot chunkier, a lot more pixely. By the way, I'm barely awake. Didn't see you. Say hi.
Watch it, will you?
But yeah, have a good night, Bunny. I know you're EST, so it is late for you. Seeing that texture populate entire Gmod maps. Dude forgot to install Counter-Strike Source. No. I eat now. Have a good rest of your stream. Ice cream thoughts. Thank you. Thanks for showing up, really. Just having people in chat is nice. But yeah, have a good night. I know you have obligations. And I'm not gonna judge you on your sleep schedule too harshly, but I will say that I try to live a very different life in terms of getting good amounts of sleep. All right, have a good night. Have a good night. Ice Cream Fox. Haven't heard that one before. But I do think... What were the two presets for Vroid ears? It was like dog ears, or it was like cat ears and then some other ears. So I guess these would also be like the fox ears, if you're gonna use them that way. Anyway. Yeah, we're pooping. No water. No, I can't wash my hands. Oh no. Mr. Freeman with the dirty hands. Ooh. All right. Anyway, with this density of like commentary notes, I'm wondering how long this is gonna take. This might be like a many stream playthrough. And I guess I'm gonna have to make a billion different thumbnails now that I know that YouTube's anti-spam measures are freaking flagging creators for repeating thumbnails.
The raid.
The raid.
The section ahead,
The raid.
where the Metro cops
movie?
raid the apartment while the player's inside,
The action movie?
took a lot of iteration to get right. Generally, we design Half-Life to let players set their own
I
pace.
think I watched the raid
since
2.
people
I don't
move
think
through
I
the
watched
game in a
the
variety of
first
ways.
raid.
Some players run, ignoring anything that doesn't
been a
seem
while,
like
though.
a threat, while others methodically poke at everything. So, whenever we need to force a specific pace, it's always a challenge to ensure players perceive that pace and naturally play along. Since this is the first time we do this, we had to put in a lot of work to make it clear to the player that they needed to move quickly, and there's no time for exploration here.
No time. No time.
The raid 2.
Oh, I guess they.
In addition to
he
making
said the
sure
thing.
the
He said
player
the
felt
raid
pressure
2.
to move forward,
I guess they disabled
we
it for
had
the
to ensure
commentary.
the raid itself was foolproof. There couldn't be any way for the player to avoid it or double back past the Metro Cop. The real challenge wasn't that players would try to break the scene,
Oh, no.
but that many would panic and run in random directions once they realized they were under threat for the first time. This moment requires a delicate balance.
Oh, no.
We wanted a heart-pounding
Citizens.
escape, the sense of real danger, but we
Oh,
wanted players to make it through on their first try and feel like they escaped by the skin of their teeth. To achieve this, we kept the path ahead clear and reminiscent to the one they had just taken through the previous.
Oh no. I missed the end of that commentary node. Oops, I went through the raid section. Did it put an autosave? Oh. There's an autosave. Point
The
insertion.
raid 2.
The raid 2.
In
There we go.
addition to making sure the player felt the pressure to move forward, we had to ensure the raid itself was foolproof. There couldn't be any way for the player to avoid it or double back past the Metro Cop. The real challenge wasn't that players would try to break the scene, but that many would panic and run in random directions once they realized they were under threat for the
Oh, no.
first time. This moment requires a delicate balance.
Oh, no.
We wanted a heart-pounding escape,
I'm
the
getting
sense of real
wild-colored.
danger,
It's okay,
but we wanted
I'm-
players to
I'm
make it
invincible.
through on their first try and feel like they escaped by the skin of their teeth. To achieve this, we kept the path ahead clear and reminiscent to the one they had just taken through the previous floor.
Get in here, quick! Keep moving!
Something about threats. Okay. Okay, close enough. I just feel like my mouse sensitivity is low.
Health
Actually,
and
it's
no
probably
HUD.
better for like precise aiming.
The rooftop chase
I was playing,
sequence
like,
posed a
Counter-Strike.
unique design challenge. We didn't want it to
Oh,
be
no.
a true gameplay obstacle, and our best case was for players to make it through on their first try. But we still wanted to create the sense of real danger, where players felt legitimately threatened if they didn't keep moving. The challenge was that without the HEV suit, players don't technically have a
think
heads-up
Anamide made,
display
like,
or
a-
HUD, which
a
means
short
no way to show damage
SFM
or
short in
remaining
this
health.
little
After
area.
some experimenting, we created a special health system for this section, using a
he
red glow
did a whole
around
video
the
talking
screen to
about, like,
indicate damage.
using
Players
random
reacted as we hoped, taking it as a
locations
sign to keep moving,
as, like,
and
a
the chase
set
unfolded
for a
as
film,
intended.
like
To
SFM.
top it off, we made health regenerate quickly so the glow wouldn't linger, reinforcing to players that running was indeed the right choice, and ensuring players weren't taken down by a stray bullet at the end just because they dawdled or hesitated earlier on.
Wow, regenerating health. Just like Call of Duty. I guess the older Call of Duty games did come out before Half-Life 2, was it? Actually, no, because I never really played the old Call of Duties. Oh no. Ouchie.
Playtesting Anecdote 2. In the upcoming section, we needed the player to be knocked down so Alex could save them. With limited time and resources, we simplified the encounter as much as possible, reusing existing systems and letting it play out like a normal combat sequence, with a custom event triggered when the player died. After a few playtests to fine-tune the timing, we moved on. But as we got
That's funny,
close
the
to
trigger when the
shipping,
player died.
we
It's kind of
encountered a
like
problem with a playtester who quick
the
saved constantly
damaging floor
and
exits in
immediately
Doom.
hit quick load whenever they thought they'd failed. When a Metro Cop hit them, they quick loaded before Alex could step in, repeating this more than 10 times before we asked him to stop. At this stage of development, in the final bug fixing phase, we had to limit ourselves to fixing only game-breaking issues, since even small changes could risk breaking something more important. Knowing this was a rare edge case, because most players had no trouble, we made a few conservative changes. We shortened the delay between the knockdown and Alex's first line and changed the fade-out color to white instead of black, which wasn't ultimately that useful since players hadn't died enough yet to associate black with death. We considered disabling quick load for the few seconds that the scene plays out, but we were worried that could introduce a bug where quick load became disabled permanently.
Yeah, that makes sense. Go for, you know, smaller changes rather than something drastic for something that most players aren't really gonna get stuck on. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Ow. Over here!
No, you don't.
That is quick. That's like instantly after you go knockdown state.
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
I better hurry.
Pretty lady,
The Combine
yay!
can be slow to wake, but once they're
Yay.
up, you don't want to get in their way.
Oh, here's my FOV. Now my FOV is back.
Nailing
110.
Alex's design was a big challenge. We wanted the player to both
Yeah.
respect and care for her. Saving Eli was a key player goal midway through the game,
Now this feels a little high, so actually let's go to like 100.
and we
There
knew
we
that
go.
getting players to care about that goal would be easier if they also cared about Alex and her relationship with her father. We intentionally designed, wrote dialogue, and cast a voice actor for Alex to be savvy,
Alex
capable, and
Vance.
relatable within the Combine-controlled world, while also making her attractive and charismatic. We aimed to avoid the objectification, exaggeration, and hypersexuality that many games of the 2000s featured, as we felt that would undermine our goals for her character.
Hypersexuality. It's like they're talking directly about the
NPCs
the whole
on elevators.
cinematic mod thing.
We often spend a significant amount of time solving problems that players might not even notice.
This is a lie.
Many of these are subtle design challenges.
I've
while
seen
others
Richard's
stem
video on
from
Half-Life and
multiple
6.
systems interacting with each
Oh
other.
no.
For example,
the nude mods.
getting non-player characters to ride in elevators posed a complex problem.
They're really
because
pretty
it involved
cinematic
various
models.
systems, NPC AI decision-making,
I wonder if like
navigation
the
planning,
fully
and movement
modeled
simulation, to name a few.
vagina polygons.
Additionally, the elevator itself had its own simulation requirements unrelated to NPCs. One of the more subtle challenges came from the fact that we simulate NPCs at a slower rate than we simulate elevators.
Really pretty.
This
I mean, her
meant
lace
that
is showing.
NPCs on a descending elevator would simulate to make sure they were properly standing on the elevator, and then the elevator would simulate a few times, each time moving further down the elevator shaft, subtly leaving the NPC behind. Shortly after that, the NPC would simulate a second time and pop itself down on the elevator floor once again. You can imagine that it was hard to take Alex seriously when she was constantly falling down in small increments while talking to you.
Oh, that didn't actually explain how they fixed it, but I assume it had something to do with making the NPC not do that, simulate at the correct amount of times when like falling or like being on the
Interactive
elevator
storytelling.
floor.
When we started on Half-Life 2, storytelling in games was generally either high fidelity and linear or low fidelity and interactive. We knew players had seen high-quality storytelling in games, but they'd never been placed right in the middle of it, able to watch it unfold around them, interact with it, and examine any part closely. While that goal excited us, we didn't yet know how it would work or what kind of technology we'd need to make it happen. We had built a variety of storytelling technology in Half-Life 1, but it was mostly presented in front of the player and lacked the interactivity and fidelity we were aiming for. So Kleiner's lab became the section of the game we used as a testbed to figure out how our interactive storytelling would actually function.
Oh man. I was posting in the chat before stream. I was like, oh man, I love stretching. I need to stretch more. I think my shoulders are just like super tight. I was like running around yesterday. Oh, good. Oh, da. Bro's doing the YMCA. YMCA. It's a little hard with my limited tracking range. The webcam. Anyway,
Funny, you showing up on this day in
a
particular.
red letter day. Funny joke.
Kleiner's lab.
Funny joke.
Kleiner's lab was the first
my
piece of
humor is
storytelling we worked on, and the one that took
decrowed,
the longest
man.
to figure out. In addition to its role in launching the player into the game, it eventually became the unifying vision for the development team in terms of storytelling. As we began building our characters and narrative delivery around the player, many questions arose, all of which felt like major risks for the game.
There's a lot of commentary.
Would players
Maybe I'll
be
do like
able
one
to
more chapter
extract
and
the
then end
important
stream.
information from the scene?
Or I'll go for like
Could we
at
get
least
them
2
to care
hours.
about these characters? How would we support players with varying levels of investment in the story? How costly would it be to produce a scene like this? And how many more would we need? These and many more were questions we couldn't answer until we built enough of the scene and tested it with a lot of playtesters.
That does sound
Frustratingly,
challenging,
unlike
yeah.
many other problems we face, these weren't questions we could confidently answer until we had done significant work. We can often test gameplay ideas with low-fidelity prototypes, but if a player isn't invested in our storytelling when the characters are just gray blocks, how confident can we be that they'll care once the characters are fully realized?
Yeah, it's like a full, you know, cinematic experience. Right? Oh, reorienting. Anyway, I was out at karaoke yesterday, actually. It's not something I really get to do that often. And I was out with some other people, and we went to karaoke, and I wanted to sing Japanese songs, and they did not have any Japanese songs. They had them on the app, but I couldn't actually put any of them in because I guess it's blocked or they don't have the rights or whatever to use it on their karaoke machine. It was so made me like actually wanna one, do like a DIY karaoke setup, two, maybe do some karaoke streams. But yeah, singing's fun. But I also have like a bunch of covers I want to do, and I also want to like practice and do everything. And the other thing is I've been streaming kind of late a lot, and I don't want to do it too late in the day because I don't want to cause too much noise late at night, you know. And I do like singing some kind of loud stuff. Anyway, unrelated to the commentary.
Choreography. The system we built and iterated on to deliver Half-Life 2's storytelling was internally called Choreo, short for choreography.
Choreo.
Early on, we found it
choreography.
useful to imagine we were writing a play where one of the actors didn't know the script. We needed a system that could control
it's a
all the
lambda.
other actors, moving them around the stage, delivering their performances, and speaking their lines. To handle this, the other actors would need to seamlessly mix our directorial
Me
commands
standing in the
with
way of the
dynamic
NPC
responses to
so
the
they
player's
can't
position
walk
and
to their
behavior.
predetermined spot.
Timing was clearly going to be a major challenge, as any part of the scene might need to lengthen, contract, or even pause, depending on what the player was doing.
Anyway, I know my tracking is a little weird with the hand tracking. It'll like
Come on, Gordon.
detect hands where there aren't, and then my hands randomly jitter up. The other thing is like my mic arm is covering half my it's like blocking a big part of where my hands can go, so visually. So it's kind of rough on the webcam tracking there too. I've tried out like putting a sheet behind me to try and fix that, but it's also like a big hassle and probably not worth actually doing. I guess there's always the option of just buying the leap motion thing, but that's like $200 and not really an expense that I can justify on slightly better tracking. But I guess iPhone tracking would be the same. It's probably going to be a big expense. I might be getting a hand-me-down iPhone from a family member when they upgrade, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, webcam tracking seems to be going like pretty well. Like I guess it could be a little bit more consistent, less jittery, but I think I have it set up reasonably well. I guess the hand tracking still is a little jank. But the biggest thing that I miss, or feel like I'm missing without the iPhone tracking, well, one, I have to shine a light in my face for the webcam. Two, I don't get cheek puff, and I don't get the tongue tracking. And to me, those are like the most fun face tracking parameters. And so I'm feeling kind of left out by not being able to do that. Try to make my phones last as long as possible. I intentionally stay downgraded because I have a fixation with the iPhone home button. That's a boon to my parents. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see much reason to upgrade in terms of like the actual phone experience. I think I got mine for like a relatively good model for a relatively cheap price for like $300 on Amazon. I actually got like a refurbished model, or well, Amazon renewed, and I think I got lucky. I haven't had any problems, but I know it's kind of a gamble when you're going with those, so I don't know. At least they have a good return policy. But yeah, Black Friday coming up.
The primary tool
Probably
we
gonna
built
get
to
a RAM
power
upgrade.
the Choreo system was called FacePoser.
Still waiting though,
an
in case a
inaccurately
better
named
deal comes
program
up.
that allowed our animators to
There's
lay
like a
out the entire
$90
structure
64
of our
gigabyte
scenes
DDR4
along the
RAM that
timeline.
I'm looking at.
The timeline contained a series of choreo commands for the actors, along with
But I'm
all
not
the
really in a
necessary
rush, so
information for them to perform those commands.
I can wait.
By layering these commands on the timeline, animators could easily describe how an
FacePoser?
actor might need to
The
face
entire
one thing
structure of our
while
scenes.
talking towards another
Funny.
and walk to a different location, all at the same time. But the timeline wasn't a fixed linear sequence. Actors would follow their commands, but they had to respond dynamically to the world around them. An actor might take longer to move to a location if the player is in the way, or they might need to wait to deliver a line because another actor has been delayed by the player. FacePoser allowed us to rapidly iterate on scenes, trying different layouts, dialogue deliveries, and timings. This ability to quickly experiment and adjust proved critical in finding the right performances to achieve our character and narrative goals.
Yeah, good tooling is really important. I know that like game developers end up writing a lot of tools and not just like the actual game stuff, because you kind of need those tools to make the stuff you need. So yeah, sounds like they had good tools. So many
Choreo
commentary
commands.
notes.
This debug visualization shows the two most common choreo commands actors receive throughout a scene, internally known as look-ats and move-tos.
There's a look
Actors
at.
are given targets to
There's a
look
move-to.
at, sometimes more than one at a time, and then try to focus on the one that makes the most sense given their current state.
Multiple look ats.
At
Interesting.
the same time,
There's a move
they
to.
might be receiving move-to commands,
It's looking at me.
which tell them to move to a location
looking at
and
me.
face a specific direction or object. Even these seemingly simple commands involved a lot of complexity. A scene might require an actor to talk while typing on a keyboard, all while looking at an object the player is holding. Since we couldn't predict where the player would be during playback, authoring scenes like this required us to break each element of the scene into separate pieces and layers. These could then be reassembled as needed during playback, based on the player's actions and interrupted if necessary.
That's cool. We're missing the whole cutscene.
Archetypes.
Ooh.
We wanted to create narrative links between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 through our
Me
characters.
jumping around like a madman while these people talk.
Our idea was to design
Yap, yap, yap.
individuals who felt like representations of Half-Life 1's archetypes, so that players might find them familiar, almost as though they'd met them in Half-Life 1 at some point that they couldn't quite remember. We based
Barney
Dr.
Kleiner.
Kleiner on the scientist model we felt was the most iconic, and his personality was largely shaped by Hal Robbins, whose voice and performances had defined the Half-Life 1 scientists. One day, when we were in the thick of trying to figure out this character, Dr. Kleiner's face came into focus as we happened to share an elevator with an accountant from an office on another floor of our building, and looking at him, it was clear that this is Dr. Kleiner's face. Luckily, he was receptive when we asked if we could photograph him for a video game character.
That is funny knowing that like a lot of the characters were just
Certainly not.
random
Never fear, Gordon.
people
She's
around
unique
the
and completely
around their
harmless.
area.
The worst she
Or
might
that
do is
Eli Vance was like a homeless person they found off of the street, and they paid him for his image to use in the game.
Delivery. It took a lot of iteration and playtesting to strike the right balance of information and emotional connection in our major choreo scenes. Each scene had a lot of information we needed to convey to the player, but we couldn't just have characters spouting exposition. Players would start thinking of them more as signposts than as people. We needed to take the time to let the characters interact
see
with
Barney
each
Calhoun
other,
was a Valve
allowing the
executive.
player to
Ooh.
observe the relationships. At the same time, we had to expand upon the world, giving the player a sense of everything that had happened while they were gone. All this had to be done carefully, without taking too long. We wanted the game to work for
Milos
players who
was
were
just some
less
random guy.
invested in
He's
the narrative.
just some guy.
Animation became a powerful tool in communicating the emotional connections between characters, often conveying the depth of a moment quickly without overstating it. Humor was another commonly used tool, helping to puncture a setup and disarm the player when things got a bit too heavy.
Yeah, there's something about the tone of Half-Life. Like, there's
Gordon, if
like
you
the whole
please,
setting
I
and
would
everything
eager to
is,
see if your old suit still fits.
you know, pretty dark. But then the actual like character moments, like the moment-to-moment stuff, isn't, you know,
Lab interactivity. In our
extremely
choreo
dark.
scenes, we have the player trapped for a bit, allowing us to focus on the characters and narrative. To accommodate different players, some
Oh, right, the
deeply
teleporter.
invested in the story, others unable to stand still for more than a second, we felt like we needed a
Yeah.
constant stream of interesting details on screen.
Half-Life is
We
dark and
scattered
harsh
narrative
with
elements
whimsical
throughout
elements.
the environment, ensuring some
That's a
were
good
interactive,
way to describe it,
essentially
probably.
toys for the player to tinker with. In some cases, we embedded further storytelling into these, like the cactus mini teleporter hinting at the upcoming teleporter failure. It was a delicate balance. Too much visual interest could distract players from the core of the scene. Ultimately,
I don't think I've ever
Kleiner's lab
interacted
played
with
it
this
safe
on my
with
first playthrough.
interactivity, as it was the first major choreo scene. Later, in Eli's lab, we explored it more deeply, ensuring the characters themselves paid attention to what the players were tinkering with.
I didn't even know there was that much like interactable stuff. Oh. Yep. Classic.
Don't worry, I won't look.
Teehee. Oh no, she's
Writing.
gonna see me changing into the HEV suit.
In the Half-Life 1 era, player goals in FPS games were still largely about fighting and defeating an obviously evil enemy. It was hard to get players to care about characters when they were as low fidelity as they were in Half-Life 1. With the planned improvements in character fidelity for Half-Life 2, we wanted to take a shot at making characters the driving force of the narrative. Our goal was for the player's motivations to align with those of our characters, for the player to care about these people, their hopes and fears, and to want them to succeed. With this in mind, we were able to assemble our approach to character and dialogue. We would create a set of characters who liked and cared about each other, hoping that the player would feel the same. These characters would interact in a way that felt inclusive, like a group of old friends who see the player as one of them, just someone who's been
My
away
God,
for a while.
parasocial relationship.
Characters demonstrated
Let's go.
realistic emotional connections with each other. We believed we could build an emotional connection with the player as well.
You should wear
That's
it.
neat that they're going for the vibe of like group of friends who know each other, even though this guy just doesn't talk at all. He's still one of the guys. He's still part of the group. All right, HEV
Voice
suit.
actors.
What you got?
To create more responsive and multidimensional characters in Half-Life 2, we needed to evolve
Mount
our
that
approach to
beer,
working with
Iodia.
voice actors.
It's me,
While running
Barney
through a
from
script
Black
with a modicum
Mesa.
of direction was sufficient for much of the NPC dialogue for Half-Life 1. For Half-Life 2, we decided to give the actors more of an opportunity to be involved in helping to define the characters and bring them to life. We provided much more story context to the actors, showing them the game world, the environments their characters inhabited, and the other characters they interacted with. We sought actors who could take all that information and synthesize it into their performances to elevate their characters beyond what we had imagined. We held multiple sessions with the main actors, allowing them to digest and build upon their characters over time.
There's the music.
For scenes where characters are interacting with each other, we'd often cue an
Yeah, I
actor
can
with
zoom.
performances from other actors in the scene to create a better sense of connection and flow. Though we'd arrive at the studio with a script and a plan for the recording session, we made sure that the actors felt empowered and had the space to bring their own ideas to the character and performances. Having animators attend the voiceover sessions also proved critical, as they were responsible for stitching the
Oh, right,
characters' dialogue together with physical
updated the
actions and
flashlight
expressions
shadows.
to form the resulting choreo scene. Often, animators found that their plans for how a scene would play out evolved quite a bit after working with the voice actor.
That's interesting. I always see those like videos of Japanese voice actors,
Hazardous environment suit is
and sometimes they're like
designed for comfort and
in the
utility.
same room when they're doing like the recording, so they can get the
Doc,
proper
we don't
like
have time for this.
I don't know, vibe of
At least get that
the
suit
characters
juiced up
talking
for
to
you.
each other.
Good idea. There's a charger on the wall.
Oh,
Character
there you go.
reactions. Figuring out what characters
Anyway.
should react to and how was an ongoing challenge.
I still want to talk about my
At the core, we always want the game to respond to player input. However, any
Ah.
response from the game can be seen
the
as a
changes I
reward
made
by
to
the
my
player. So, what
tracking.
characters react to
It's
and what
just
they ignore
the
teaches
shoulders
the player
move.
about the kind of input the game expects.
Or rather,
As a result, we made
The
sure to
inverted
respond
body
to things
rotation.
we wanted more of, like players tinkering with devices in the lab, and ignored behaviors we wanted less of, like players repeatedly slapping Clanner in the face with a box over and over again. Seriously, we watched a playtester do it for 5
That's
minutes.
funny, hearing that after seeing so many speedruns where they like bop the NPCs on the head to get them to move.
You coming?
You coming?
Tone. Setting the right tone for our characters and their dialogue was critical. We aimed for a respectful, almost pleasant style of interaction with the player, while avoiding anything that felt too subservient. This balance was especially tricky with Alex, who needed to support the player without compromising the strength of her character, something we felt was crucial for players to respect her. Her relationship with Eli was a core driver of the player's motivations, so it was important that players liked her and wanted to help her. We also wanted to contrast the warmth and camaraderie between the player's allies against the hostilities of Breen and the Combine, inspiring a sense of righteous indignation in the players for the battles ahead.
I think hold on, my mouse wheel down is, it should be unbinded, but I hear it activating something, so I don't know.
Animation. Constructing believable human motion for our characters out of many discrete
boxes you
layers of
can't pick up.
animation required a lot of
Lamar's
technological
vent.
iteration.
Sus Among Us?
Even simple actions like turning to look at something or walking to a location became more complex when combined with the need to dynamically respond to the player and the requirements of choreo commands.
I wonder how much it hurts the head
For
crab to
example,
be
turning to
debeaked.
look at something had to be
How's
fully
it eat?
composed, allowing a character to use any combination of its eyes, head, shoulders, upper torso, or full body to face a target. In Half-Life 1, human characters had their bodies separated into upper and lower halves, allowing them to walk in one direction while facing another. However, this approach was too abstract for Half-Life 2's characters. Instead, our animators created walking animations in all 8 directions of the compass, which could then be smoothly blended together at runtime.
Yeah, I remember messing with the animation blend tree thing in Unity for like a class project. It's pretty, it's complicated. And now I know about animation in the context of like VTubing rigging. Anyway, this like inverted, so if I lean my head right, my right shoulder goes up instead of my left. And that's like a setting in Waterdo. I think they added it as like a default preset that you can enable for the body rotation of the head. In theory, you could have like full body tracking too, but this is kind of fun. I remember the Steam update where they talked about adding this and how it was kind of inspired by seeing a lot of live 2D models that do the same. It's more feminine, teehee. Take a kiss me. Maybe I'll do that song. Chavekino. Anyway.
Monitors.
Monitors.
We use monitors a lot for storytelling in Half-Life 2 in the
It's
episodes.
not a blue screen of death.
So
that's
much so
data.
that we even make fun of ourselves for it. The problem is they're just too damn useful.
They improve the
They're
textures too.
fantastic for expanding the world by showing events happening elsewhere. And they provide an easy way to have characters
hey.
talk without needing to explain
Eli.
how they all got to the player's location. Anyone who's ever written any
Chunky
kind of story,
pixels. No
especially one with an
anti-aliasing.
ensemble cast, understands the unique frustration of trying to create natural reasons for all of your characters to come together in the same place. In this case, we were really happy with how the monitor allowed Alex to teleport away and then
this
quickly
part of the
appear in
scene.
Eli's lab, making everything feel real
Black
and
Mesa
connected.
East.
Alex's kiss. It's a small moment, but Alex's kiss on Eli's cheek was important. Eventually, we're going to ask the player to save Eli, and we want them to care about him. To build that emotional connection, we needed to show the warmth and affection between Alex and Eli. We didn't want to oversell it with dialogue or make it too big of an event. It had to feel genuine, not performative. And we were able to iterate on the subtleties of this moment until it struck just the right note.
This one's going to be up the plug.
Scene
The
interactivity.
plug thing.
At certain points in our choreo scenes, we require the player to take action. Beyond simply giving them something to do and keeping them engaged,
Springs.
these moments served
It's
a
funny
few
seeing
key
it
purposes.
act like entirely as a
First,
spring.
they allow the player to catch up even if they'd been distracted
Me
by
on the
something else in
resistance
the environment.
band.
The scene could safely pause until the player completed the task, ensuring they were back and paying attention. At the same time, it let us position the player where we needed them, which was useful for framing the scene and making sure they saw something important.
That's interesting.
In some cases, we got double value out of these moments by using them to train the player. Here, they're learning to interact with plugs and sockets, a skill they'll need for puzzles later in the game.
All right, the sections, that's kind of pretty far, isn't it? Where you're using the gravity gun to move the plugs. I also noticed the electricity effect when it gets close there.
Gordon throw the switch?
Oh, same thing.
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead. There we go.
Very good. Final sequence. Commencing now. I can't look.
Okay.
Magic, sci-fi. Is she okay? There's the whole like, do you die when you use like the Star Trek transporter discussion thing?
For yourself.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, Doc.
Thank goodness. My relief is almost palpable.
There we go.
Fantastic work, Izzy.
Well, I can't take all the credit. Dr.
All
Freeman
right, and now
proved
I
an
can
able
teleport
assistant.
over there, and it's all gonna be fine.
Right you are. Speak to you again in a few moments.
Good job, Gordon. Throwing that switch and all. I can see
I
your
like this
MIT
line
education
from
really
Barney.
pays for itself.
All right, Barney. Your turn.
Gee, thanks.
Gordon, as soon as you're in position, we'll send you to Eli's.
And not a moment too soon.
Here we go.
Excellent. Initializing in 3, 2, 1. Barney, if you'd be so kind.
Good luck out there,
Reminds me a lot of the
Yes,
whole
indeed.
resonance
We're
cascade
ready to
sequence
project
in
the
Half-Life 1.
Bon voyage, and best of luck. in
Smaller
your
scale
future
experiment.
endeavors. Final sequence.
Final sequence.
Hell, what is it?
Lamar. The freaking head humper. No. Was that Lamar or was that Oh, we're here. Yay.
Seems to be some kind of interference.
Swear to God.
Stay put. You get drowned.
Uh-oh.
Drawing him away.
Uh-oh.
What's the meaning of this? Who are you? How did you get in here?
Dr. Green was at Black Mesa, so you would know. Green, yep. He would know who Gordon is.
There he is. Oh, we're losing him
I know
again.
there's more about his relationship. Yeah, this part of the sequence. Gordon Freeman. Oh, this part of camera's frozen, and then the Ichiosaur from Half-Life 1 that never shows up as an actual enemy in the game. Ooh. Hello, Alice Joni, what's up? We're going through the Half-Life 2 developer commentary that was just added for the 20th anniversary update. So there's that, and there's like all whole like web page. It's a pretty cool web page. It's like interactive. How you doing? I'm doing good. Doing good. But yeah, there's a whole new web page. There's a whole 2-hour documentary that I watched before this stream. But it is pretty cool. You and I climb on barbed wire. Anyway, this segment, yeah, you just go through here. No commentary nodes. No commentary nodes. Okay. I know it's making that sound. When I have my jump down to mouse wheel down for bunny hopping purposes. Alright, this is where Barney gives us the crowbar, right?
Phoneme extraction. Another critical
Phoneme
tool
extraction?
built into FacePoser was the phoneme editor.
Oh.
It processed the voice actors' dialogue lines.
I think Chad's broken. I'm not seeing Alice's
phonemes to
message.
generate
That's
basic
pretty good. Thank you.
lip-sync
Oh, that's
characters.
that's the Twitch
Hero
chat.
characters, our animators use this as a
By the
starting
way,
point to create
join your stream for
high-quality
first time.
custom
Yeah, welcome,
animations
welcome.
for each dialogue line, incorporating full facial animation.
So
However,
I've
in
been
a
dual
dynamic
streaming on
choreo
both
scene,
YouTube
the
and
animators
Twitch
wouldn't know exactly what the rest of the actor's
for a bit.
body would be doing. This meant it required careful layering of choreo commands and timings in FacePoser, while still maintaining the actor's ability to dynamically respond to the player.
Interesting. Sorry, I could only pay attention to that halfway due to talking to chat, but yeah, so I mainly I guess I've been mainly streaming on YouTube for a while, and I recently started dual streaming on Twitch. So welcome. Nice.
At the time of Half-Life 2's release,
Yeah, it's
most
surprisingly
first-person
convenient. I
shooters
just,
gave the player a gun
set
or a
the
melee
stream
weapon
stuff
right off
up
the
on
bat.
Twitch and then
But we opted to
click
start them
the
empty-handed.
button in the dual streaming
Without a weapon, it
plugin
was
for
easier
OBS.
to
It's
train
not
the
that
player
bad.
on
It
the
does
more
use
novel
up
ways they're able to
more of my
interact
bandwidth
with the
though.
world and introduce them to our story. We wanted the player to transition from fugitive to the aggressor, and arming them at the right time created that moment naturally.
Yeah, the weapon.
By the time
You're
they
not locked in
finally
here
get a
with me.
weapon, they're done running away. They
Or
say
rather, I'm not
sometimes the
locked in
best
here
way
with
to win
you.
is to walk
You're
away,
locked in here
but
with
we all
me.
know that's not true. The best way to win is to run towards something while shooting at it.
I'm gonna win. You're a man, but why use a woman VTuber model? No, this is a very manly VTuber model. I don't know what you're talking about. This is the manliest VTuber model. Definitely a very manly VTuber model. I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you want me to be a woman? Teehee.
Dynamic
Teehee.
mixing. During gameplay, many sounds are playing at the same time, but some are naturally more important than others.
Manly man.
And we need to set the
Man,
volumes
manly
of
man,
the
man,
sounds
yeah.
relative to each other to ensure that the important ones stand out. In a movie, this sound mixing is done as a post-process, but in a game, it happens real time, responding to the player's actions, so we can't predict ahead of time which sounds will play simultaneously. To handle this, all the sounds are grouped into types and tagged with priorities. Then during gameplay, the audio system monitors all the active sounds and lowers the volume of
Yeah, we
sounds
blew
in
it
the
up.
group if a higher priority sound is playing.
Oh,
And this
audio
mixing is
priority.
adjustable.
That's interesting.
If the gunshots need to be loud in one scene, we can make them higher priority there. If a specific line of dialogue needs to be heard clearly, it can then force all the other sounds to drop in volume. And we do the same thing with music. It's a subtle
also
but
happening with
very critical system, and it
these
just
commentary
prevents
notes
the
too,
soundscape
huh?
from becoming too cluttered.
Ducking all the other audio. How long have you been doing a streaming? When did I start? I'm like coming up on my 1-year anniversary streaming. And I guess I streamed like, I don't know, 1 or 2 times before this account technically. But I wouldn't really count that. So I guess I really started about 1 year ago. It's gonna be 1 year in like 2 days. Or I guess 1 day. On Tuesday actually is my 1-year streaming anniversary, but I'm not really considering it my streaming anniversary because I had like a debut stream 1 week after that, so I'm considering that my debut anniversary.
Bullet audio.
Yeah.
If there's one thing we're sure of, it's that a lot of bullets will fly past a player throughout the game. So we
You
spent
don't
a
like
bunch
to
of
show your
time
face.
trying to perfect
It's kind
the
of
audio
like
treatment for
the
it.
thing of VTubing, right? Is that
Unfortunately,
you
bullets in the game
can
are
be
essentially
more pseudonymous than
instantaneous,
if you're
so
a face
we can't
streamer.
just attach a
right?
sound to them and rely on the movement for positioning. So after some experimentation, we landed on this solution.
Fake a Doppler
By
effect?
figuring out the
I know there's
closest
like
point on the
game
bullet's
engines that
trajectory
can
to the player's
do
ear,
like
we
Doppler effects
calculate
properly
the
now.
exact time and position the bullet would
Interesting.
conceptually pass them. We then played 2 different sounds at that point to fake a Doppler effect, one for the bullet's approach and one for its departure. And we delay the departure sound based on the calculated time the bullet passed by.
Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I guess the whole like anonymity thing of not showing your face always kind of appealed to me in VTubing. I've always sort of, I know, wanted to have privacy between streaming and like the rest of my life. Oh,
Another problem we ran into was the sheer amount of audio in the game.
oh,
With all the
this one doesn't
gameplay
have
sounds,
captioning.
music, and dialogue, we had too much audio to be able
Also making a VTuber model and everything. Would you like to see? Yeah, that sounds cool. I mean, you can. Actually, how can you show it to me? Because I know links probably get blocked. But I don't know if you have like a Twitter or something, you can at me or even just DM me on Twitter. I check the DMs occasionally.
store it all in memory. Memory was at a
Sure.
premium in 2000.
Yeah, sure.
But as you can imagine, we need to be able to play sounds immediately, especially if they're gameplay related. So we built an audio cache, which stored only the first 125 milliseconds of every audio file and kept that in memory.
Audio cache.
That 125 millisecond time was our best guess for how long it would take us to be able to stream an audio file in from disk. Then, whenever a sound was played in game, we'd play the start of it from our audio cache while simultaneously kicking off a load of the full audio file from disk. By the time our cache start ended, we'd have the file loaded and could continue playing the rest of the sound.
That's a smart solution.
There were some other minor features, like keeping recent sounds fully in memory so that high traffic ones didn't need to be loaded constantly. In
To not
today's
use all the
engines,
memory,
kinds
storing
of assets,
all the
beyond just
the
sounds,
sound.
typically use the same kind of strategy.
Today's engines typically use the same kind of strategy. Oh, that's interesting. What's your Twitter name? It should be on my links in my about if you scroll down from my Twitch channel. Train! Ah, train! Ah, guns! Scanner death! Total scanner death. Oh.
Physics sound. Getting physics to feel right for the player meant that the sounds produced by physics had to sound right too. As humans, we're all used to how objects and materials sound during various interactions, even if it's not something we actively notice. While we knew we couldn't account for everything, we wanted to focus on the details that contributed most to making our physics sound realistic. We started with per-object sounds for collisions and impacts. This allowed an object like a wooden crate to have custom sounds
I
when it
love
collided
those
with
source
other
engine
objects
physics
or
sounds.
classes of objects. Next, we began dynamically modifying these sounds based on the characteristics of the physical event, such as the masses involved.
I forget how long
and the
this
force of
chapter
the collision.
is.
This worked great for
I have,
collisions,
like, a
but
vague
didn't
memory
hold
of
up in other interactions like
how far it
objects
goes.
scraping against each other. In reality,
Oh, whoops,
physics
I didn't mean to.
sound.
I didn't mean to. No, I
Getting
have to listen to
physics
the very
feel
beginning.
right for the player meant
wanna grab a
that the
thing.
sounds produced by physics had to sound right too. As humans, we're all used to
I
how
love those
objects and
sounds.
materials sound during various interactions, even if it's not something we actively notice.
Yeah.
While we knew we couldn't account
That's
for
what it's
everything,
all
we
about,
wanted
baby.
to focus on the details that contributed most to making our physics sound realistic. We started with per-object sounds for collisions and impacts. This allowed an object like a wooden crate to have custom sounds when it collided with other objects or classes of objects. Next, we began dynamically modifying these sounds based on the characteristics of the physical event, such as the masses involved and the force of the collision.
Guess this whole object is
This
like
worked
metal.
great for collisions, but
for the
didn't hold
sounds.
up in other interactions like objects scraping against each other. In reality, a wooden crate makes a different sound when it scrapes against a wall versus when it's thrown against that same wall. Let me tell you, nobody has done more research on the nuances of a wooden crate's physical properties than us. To get what we wanted out of these interactions, we implemented per-material
is like
collision
metal
sounds,
against
metal
wood.
against wood, metal against metal, and so on. These sounds
It
were
sound like
also
metal against-
dynamically modified based on details,
Metal against metal,
like
yeah.
material hardness or type of metal. Getting this system to sound right required countless small tweaks, which we could only
Sparks.
identify once it was running.
Sparks.
We also experimented with custom sounds for rolling objects, but ultimately cut the feature because we weren't happy with the results.
That's interesting. Rolling sounds. Oh. There we go. Wood sliding sound. Wood impact sound. Wood metal impact sound. Yep. Love those sounds. All right. Oh no. Getting shot at. Oh. I guess you have to redo that if you mess it up. All right. Total scanner death. Oh, it drops a battery. Forgot those could drop stuff. Uh-oh. Oh no. Over the fence. There we go. I mean, I've done this before. I know where the it is. Oh. Sent you a message on X. Thanks. I might look at it after stream just to not interrupt this. But yeah, I'll check it out.
Automating DSP. All the sounds the player hears are processed through our digital signal
My
processing
username is
system,
Maybelline, so
or
don't be confused.
DSP.
Okay.
And this just refers
to
to
know.
how audio is altered to reflect the environment the player is in.
Sent you
For
my
example, the
portfolio.
same sound
Okay.
will differ when heard in a parking garage,
Parking garage.
a small room, outdoors.
I like the the
In
demonstration
Half-Life
of the
1,
different
we
sounds.
manually placed invisible nodes throughout the world to define these DSP settings for each space. For Half-Life 2, we knew that manual placement was just going to be way too time-consuming, especially since we wanted a larger game, and we still only had one audio person on the team. So we built a system that automatically determines the DSP settings around the player in real time. It does this by analyzing the space around the player, assessing the volume they're within. It examines the materials that make up the environment, basically. And then the system matches that space to one of the 25 hand-authored basic DSP types. We adjust some parameters, and we create the fully detailed DSP that modifies the sounds the player hears.
That's cool. Yeah. What other games do I think of when I think of like, even like these bullet impact sounds, how they're different. Yeah. God, sound design is so cool. Something important to me. Oh, I guess this is a separate, or like the next chapter already. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna
scene.
do this.
This is
Oh,
another
here we go.
scene designed to make it clear that the Metro Cops are the bad guys.
I guess they're
Except this
supposed
time
to
the player has a weapon and can finally do something about it. That something comes out
start
of the barrel
attacking
of
me,
a
but
gun.
then
We knew we needed the player
the
to feel
commentary
righteous,
note is going
and this
on.
moment was part of creating that. The Metro Cops are still human,
CP
unlike the rest of the
violation.
Combine in the game, so we felt like we had to go the extra mile in making sure the player's actions felt like justice and not just wrath.
Oh. Oh, too bad you don't get the stun stick. Oh no! Alright, there we go.
They'll be looking for you now.
Gun.
You'd better run. There's nothing else you can do here.
Poor guy. CP violation. Civil protection. I was watching the documentary does talk a lot about even this segment. How they're making the, Metro Cops seem like, is this always 12 shots?
Staircase.
Ooh, staircase.
There are situations throughout the game that stem from
and there's
simple
a
and quite
segment-
straightforward design goals, and this staircase features
Actually, no, I think I saw this on
the first
on
was
Twitter.
to frame the Citadel as it awakened,
commentary note.
showing the player they stirred up the hive. The
18
second
rounds, if
was
I
to
remember
showcase our
correctly.
ragdoll system.
It's my
While it's standard
reload.
now, in 2004
Line
it was
messed
still
up.
a novelty to see bodies tumble realistically, and stairs provided a perfect stage to make that happen.
Oh, the ragdoll magnets. Is there one here? Oh, he didn't tumble. Oh, I guess it had 18 rounds, but then the UI was messed up. I don't know. Oh, I guess there was a barrel I could have blown him up with. Oh no, the ragdoll's tail.
City 17 awakens.
Citadel.
The early train station section was designed to
Citadel.
make the city feel indifferent toward the
I
player,
kind of want
as
to
if Gordon was
replay
just another nameless,
Mirror's Edge now,
faceless
actually.
citizen, ripe for subjugation. But during the tenement raid and rooftop chase, the city identifies the player as an anomaly and starts to stir. Now, with the player as the aggressor, the city fully turns its attention on them. The Overwatch PA system, first heard during the
Oh,
raid,
isn't my
played a
mouse
key
wheel
role
up
in
getting
delivering
triggered when
this
I'm
message.
mouse wheel downing
If
to
players
the
listen
jump?
closely, there's a lot of information about the city's
Interesting.
awareness. Even when players didn't pay attention, though, the audio treatment still conveyed the emotional message we were aiming for.
Oh yeah, the PA system. All the
Explosive
messages.
barrels.
Barrels.
Here, we
Classic.
introduce explosive barrels, a staple of first-person shooters, but with a new twist. The second pistol shot sets the barrel on fire, starting a timed detonation. A third shot will detonate the barrel immediately. This way, players could either delay the explosion or trigger it right away, depending
Could
on the
just
situation.
unbind mouse wheel up.
Players may want to feed an explosive barrel to a barnacle and then shoot it twice as a handy way to
Yep,
safely
that's a fun
dispatch
one.
a cluster of them. The delayed explosion also made for a more interesting chain
Is it
reaction
one hit with
between
the crowbar?
multiple barrels.
It's 2 hits.
Exploding barrels were a fan
I'm
favorite
invincible
in the
'cause I'm
series,
listening to the commentary
but
now.
also were internally favored by level designers who often felt like the game could never have enough of them.
Yep, I love my explosive barrels in video games. Sprint. Gotta get sprint now. Oh, source engine ladders. Janky as always. You're shooting. Oh no, I shot the explosive barrels already. Man, this pistol is inaccurate. Not so accurate. Oh no, out of ammo. Oh, hello, bot. Hello, bot. How's it going, bot?
Lambda caches.
Lambda caches.
Technically, the first Lambda cache is at Kleiner's lab, but this is the first one the player finds on their own. We added Lambda caches to encourage exploration and to hint players where hidden resources could be found, with a fiction being that they were being placed by the Resistance as part of their underground rebellion. In Half-Life, the contents of supply crates were predetermined by the level sign. In Shell 2,
Those
we
keep
introduce
respawning?
adaptive item
Or is that
crates
just another spawn?
that give the player whatever they are low on at the time, based on resource targets set by the level designer.
Oh yeah, kind of like the AI director in Left 4 Dead.
Scanners.
With
Scanners
supplies.
presented a tricky game design challenge. While we liked how their dystopian presence helped convey the Combine occupation as an oppressive surveillance state, we didn't actually want them to shoot at the player. We found that aiming into the sky to hit a small mobile enemy with a constant height advantage was something we couldn't make fun. Since we loved their role in the story, we decided that in combat, scanners would serve primarily as eyes, alerting nearby enemies to the player's presence, a feature we reinforced with sound effects from the soldiers. Beyond that, they'd only be able to harass the player with bright lights and occasionally dive bomb after taking enough damage.
Flashbangs. Actually, it reminds me of there's like a similar like flashbang drone enemy in RoboQuest, and it behaves a lot like the scanner in this game.
Overwatch.
During development, we generated the Overwatch voice using a free text-to-speech tool, but as we neared shipping, we realized we didn't actually have the rights to use it, so we held auditions with voice actors to find someone who could match the qualities we liked in the generated lines. Didn't take long before we found Ellen McLean, whose delivery was exactly what we were looking for. In her sessions, we played the generated lines for her to mimic, though in her own style.
This is where they found Ellen McLean, because she was in Portal, she was in
to
TF2.
replicate such a robotic delivery. But years later, when she returned for her iconic role as GLaDOS in Portal, she'd found a way to creatively integrate that tone into her performance.
I like the element of scanners and maniacs because for all the alien tech, the drones feel the most realistic. Yeah, that's like scarily realistic and achievable with modern technology, like drone with a saw
The standard
blade.
pistol is the workhorse of the game, functioning not only as the first range weapon you learn to use, but also as a method to interact with physics and destructible objects at a safe distance for the entirety of the game. To help make it feel more responsive and fun to use, the pistol employs a refire mechanic that's unique to it in the game. The gun will fire as fast as the player can click their input button, meaning that they feel an instant response to their input, and the faster they can click, the faster they can shoot.
Click, 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 click. Get shot at, get shot at, get shot at. Actually, no, that's the actual meme. It's this gun from this game. The plap, 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 get shot at, get shot at. Control the crouch. Nice. Uh-oh. I guess it is accurate when you actually aim. Uh-oh. Yep, shoot that one. Train!
Shatter glass.
The
When
glass.
designing early levels where there are fewer mechanics in the player's toolkit, we found that it's just as engaging to spotlight new technical features instead, as we did here with breakable glass.
You know, I
The
really like
shattering
is the
effect,
vibe of like
glass was divided
the
into a
weapons
grid
in
of small
Half-Life Alyx, how
squares,
they're like
allowing us to track
modified,
which were intact
sort of
or
realistic
broken,
weapons.
and to blow out larger sections once enough squares were
Alien
no longer
technology
connected.
attached.
Each square was rendered with a unique texture based on the status of its neighboring squares, creating the sharp, jagged edges between broken and intact glass.
The grid, I kind of
While
noticed
breaking
that.
glass is now commonplace in games, it was something we hadn't seen much back when we were making Half-Life 2, and we're incredibly happy with the level of fidelity and dynamicism it brought to the game.
Yeah, it does work pretty well. Yep, you can see the grid. There's the rest of it breaking. Explosion. Love that there are HKP30s on the market with this exact two-tone color scheme. Yeah. I'm getting my physical media replica
peekaboo.
weapons.
The Combine attack
Have you seen you
helicopter
streaming
as
HL2?
central antagonist
Oh,
was
Chica
something we wanted to
Champion.
develop throughout the entire chapter. The relentless
Champon?
chopper became a
Champon.
character in its own
Chica
right.
Champon.
Here, if you listen and look overhead, you can hear its engine and see it flying along the train tracks and into the distance. This first glimpse is a small piece of foreshadowing, with its presence becoming more pronounced over time, until eventually you're squaring off against it.
Is this the entire canal chapter? I think I'll stop around the time we get to the airboat, probably. Base dev commentary appreciate. I do love the developer commentary in these games. It's really interesting to see like the behind the scenes, the thought process behind, you know, small things, big things. Game
Iterative
design. I just really like game design.
Some chapters of the game,
Or like watching
such as
videos
the
about it,
on-foot
hearing other
sections of the
developers talk
canals in
about it.
Ravenholm,
You know?
were developed in multiple passes by different cabals.
We found that handing off maps in this way led to greater variety in the experience.
And also,
a
it's
higher
not my first
density of
playthrough, so
interesting moments, as each cabal added
adds
their
more
unique
depth to
touches
the game.
maps.
It does, yeah.
In the on-foot
Especially
portion
with
of the
this whole
canals,
like 20th
the first
anniversary, they
pass
added
established the art
all of
direction and the player
these,
path, along with the broad strokes of the experience and some
and a
major
lot of it
beats.
is like written with
But the
hindsight.
team-wide alpha playtest identified insufficient tension and a somewhat monotonous experience here. In our second pass, we returned to the map solely focused on creating that tension and greatly increased the density of moment-to-moment scenarios.
Oh. Well, I would be shocked if it was your first playthrough in current year. I don't know, there's someone in chat who was just saying that they, you know, they're probably gonna not watch, or they're probably gonna stop watching because they haven't played Half-Life 1 yet, or they wanted to play through Half-Life 1 and they didn't want to get spoiled. So every now and then you do find people who've never played a classic influential piece of media. I guess I've already been into FPS games for a pretty long time, so I guess it would be pretty surprising if I hadn't played Half-Life 2. Considering how many other like Source games I've played. Classic. Absolute classic. I want to pick that chatter up and shake them like the babby they are. Train. Me landing on 1 inch of water to negate all fall damage from a billion miles up in the surf map.
Water shader.
Water shader.
The most complex shader we made for the game was the water shader, which made full use of the newly available programmable graphics cards. When water was present, the scene was rendered 3 times. First, the underwater world for refraction, second, a reflected view, and third, the parts above the water. When rendering the water surface, we blended the refractive and reflective views, showing more reflection at glancing angles using the Fresnel equation. We also tracked the ground depth below the water's surface, making it more transparent and less refractive.
Oh, they definitely
in shallow
updated
areas.
the water reflections.
Additionally, we had to create 2
I think it
alternate
used to
water
be like
rendering
screen
techniques
space
for lower-end
reflections.
graphics cards. Mid-range cards displayed a lower detail reflection without refraction or transparency, while low-end cards only rendered a partially transparent surface.
Yep. The sounds too. God, the sound design is so good. Plap, plap, plap. Get shot at. Get shot at. Yeah, I'm always amazed at like I don't know how well older games did certain things that still only look okay, or like not even some games still can't make water look as good as this. I guess I'm talking more about like AAA games that, you know, have water that looks worse than this.
Interstitial scenes. As playtesting progressed, we often found areas where players lost track of their goal, which isn't uncommon in a game like Half-Life. To address this, we added smaller interstitial scenes to help guide players along their path
This little
and
thing.
reinforce their objective.
This little area.
After finishing the bulk of development on our larger
Invisible
choreo
wall.
scenes, like Kleiner's lab, putting these smaller scenes together became relatively straightforward. We discovered that using characters in these moments worked much better than relying on passive storytelling, or even some sort of reminder you'd find baked into a pause menu.
Boxcar Bill. This small scene originally featured 2 human characters, but later in development, we replaced one with a Vortigaunt. We wanted to show that
Like how they
Vortigaunts
included
were
the
coexisting
names
with
of all the
humans and
commentary
resisting the Combine
nodes.
as well. We also introduced the
Titles, I
ability
guess,
to
not in
heal
the
the
closed
player,
captions, though.
although we didn't fully capitalize on that
Oh,
feature
right.
throughout the game.
The healing. I'm already at full health.
Vortigaunts became a
Boxcar
useful
Joe.
narrative tool for keeping dialogue brief,
Boxcar guy.
as their hive mind justified their full knowledge of the world and the player's goals. This meant they never had to ask questions, neatly sidestepping the challenge of writing dialogue for a silent protagonist.
Wait, I literally didn't know that the Vortigaunts had a hive. Was I not paying attention to the lore of these games? I know it's just due to the compression, but this lady sounds like Nicole. Maybe a little, yeah. Oh, and there's a health kit there. Vortessence. Yeah, I probably just wasn't paying attention. Anyway, get out of here. Anyway, I was gonna say something about Skibidi Toilet. Oh man, there's a one like toy ad I saw on Twitter for like a Skibidi toilet toy. It's so bizarre seeing people seeing these like Half-Life 2 characters and assets like so divorced from their original context and trying to, you know, talk about the Half-Life 2 citizen models as if there's something unique to Skibidi Toilet. Male 07. Half-Life lore is deep and complex. Yeah, it's been a while. And actually, I was really young when I played, so
Particles.
I probably
For the
didn't
source
fully
engine, we
understand
invested
most
in
of it.
expanding particle and special effects technology.
You
This
can't
allowed
burn
for
the
more
wood.
realistic and
Oh, you
complex
can burn
particle
yourself.
movement.
Wait,
as
I
well
took
as
damage
more
while I'm...
intricate shapes and shader effects. In particular, adding bump mapping to our particles
Well, I'm in the
features
commentary
made a huge
node.
difference in the volumetric look of them. While later iterations of the source engine include a powerful particle system editor,
Bump mapping
the original
on the
version used in
particles.
Half-Life 2 relied on
Ah.
handcrafted effects, each requiring a programmer to meticulously build the effect manually, which was a pretty labor-intensive
Actually, I guess
process.
it's less visible on like the fire here because it's like lit itself. But for other particles, yeah, it makes sense. This part where you break it and then the thing falls down. Yep, physics. Even scripted physics, but physics nonetheless. Crouch reminder, thank you.
Barnacle introduction.
The barnacle introduction.
Because barnacles can be confusing when first encountered, we wanted to introduce them in a way that showed players their behavior at a safe distance. We decided to do that through a nature show style predator-prey scene. But, as always, scenes like this took a lot of iteration to get players to reliably see.
Classic. I mean, they're also in Half-Life 1. You barnacles. Conceptualize the suck. Oh no, I don't think I want to conceptualize that. There is the one piece of official artwork with
Barnacle introduction.
Skull. I'll ask poor York. I knew him, Horatio. But yeah, there's the one official artwork with like the barnacle tongue around Gordon Freeman's neck.
Surface properties. We play custom footstep sounds when the player walks on the slippery mud. This was a system called
That's a
surface
funny
properties.
sound.
They used the material type to determine the sounds and other effects that should occur when walked on or shot
Cursed.
at. Earlier in
It's a little
development, we had an
cursed.
effect that slowed players' movement when walking on mud surfaces. However, this was removed in the shipping version as it was decided it was too punishing.
Yeah, fair. God, it's so annoying in games when there's like the slow stuff you walk on. The purple stuff from Doom Eternal. I haven't played the DLCs yet, but I did finish the base game on Nightmare for Doom Eternal. So maybe I'll play the DLCs eventually. Sound effect of walking around average VTuber's bedroom?
Mounted gun gallery.
What kind of VTubers
There
you
are a
watching,
few things
man?
going on in the scene.
Uh-oh.
The turret firing at the breakable crates behind
Wait.
teaches
Oh, there's a
players not to
thing.
take the threat head on and instead utilize the sewer route to defeat it. And when they reach the turret, players enjoy using it in a shooting gallery with a wave of Combine soldiers and dive-bombing scanners. We also begin to introduce the missile-firing Combine APC that pushes the players along and will show up again later in the chapter.
Actually, I probably don't need to ask what kind of VTubers you're watching. I see enough clips of VTubers being extremely horny on my, YouTube feed. It's not that unusual. Rot maxing girl failures be over. I have refined tastes. Understandable. Understandable. Yep, okay. Sewer route. Poor guy. Alright. Oh, is this the... No, it's... Think of a later section of the physics puzzle. Batteries.
This is Station 8. We heard 12 go down and out. Surgical strike units are targeting...
I meant due to filth, not due to titty face. Oh no, do I have a worse mind than you do? Maybe it's just because it's No Nut November. I haven't been talking much about it, but I am actually doing No Nut November. Not really because I have to or anything, or like I have any real obligation to do it. I just do it every now and then, just to sort of, I don't know, I guess reset myself. To sort of I guess. Remember how it feels to not be gooning that much. Good on you for exercising that willpower. I do think it's a little... What is it? Maybe not as important as some people make it out to be. I mean, I could meme about, like, r/nofap and, ooh, you... What? You didn't jerk off for 2 seconds now. I have superpowers and my life is completely different. I'm literally shooting laser beams from my eyes. This much more powerful. I've unleashed my true potential. Right? I mean, it's just kind of, you know, it's a thing you can do, not jerking off. If anything, it's the less healthy thing to do. Oh, shit. Now it's time to get out of here, I guess. Since, like, not experiencing ejaculation is bad for your prostate health, to my understanding. Right? Oh, barnacle. Oh. Less wasted time. I always wonder about that when it comes to, like, no, or, like, no-fap discussions. How much time are you people spending on jerking off, man? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll, like, occasionally spend, like, an hour or more, like, doing the horny stuff. But, like, I don't know. Is that really that disrupting? That you like? I mean, I guess an hour of time is, like, a significant amount of time now that I think about it. But, like, you don't have to spend an hour jerking off, man. You can just do it for, I don't know, 5 minutes or whatever.
Going, friend. That station was raided, but there's others up ahead.
As a degenerate no November's welcome change, but I do find myself very horny. I feel like I found myself not really that horny, like less horny. I don't know, occasionally if I get horny, but like horny. I've heard some of those studies claiming prostate issues are questionable. Interesting. I guess there's always like... Oh, that's 647E. Oh, okay. But yeah, there's like studies on that. There's studies on like sugar, on heart health, on cholesterol that everyone's like questioning. And I guess food science and like health stuff is very hard and very like... What is it? Very like depends on the person, right? A lot of it is dependent on the actual individual, and a lot of these studies kind of try and, you know, average things out to the general population. Absolutely, I do it because I have urges and didn't think people who don't do it are probably healthier. NoFap absolutely increases testosterone and sex drive. An hour? I'll go that longer if I got a girlfriend on my own. I guess that's more, I don't know, like watching pornographic content and not just like, you know, spending all that time jerking off. Unless you're, unless you're doing certain types of edging stuff, you know? Seed, oil, and soy bad and all.
Running around a corner
yeah, I do hear that pretty consistently from
and it makes the
I don't know,
world
stuff
feel
on
less
YouTube.
alive and more like a shooting gallery. So we were motivated to introduce enemies into combat spaces in more interesting and dynamic ways that would communicate planning and intentionality on their part, as if these soldiers had had a plan for Gordon even before he showed up. The Metro cops in this scene jumped down into this space via scripted sequences. And later in the game, we use rappelling in a similar way.
Yeah, it is cool how
doesn't matter
they
where they're
like,
coming from
introduce the enemies
because
in
players end up telling that story to themselves.
a
We
believable
found that
way.
in the end, combat
An
should have a
interesting
story
way.
implied in its setup. An ambush, a surprise, a surge, an assault. All of these scenarios use much of the same enemy AI, but all felt different.
Even though all the enemies are, yeah, basically the same. There's a replication crisis in the scientific community, calling into question the validity of many peer-reviewed studies. I think I remember seeing some videos on that. Haven't watched actual porn in like 6 years and feel so much better for it. Arrow manga doesn't traumatize / debase women or contribute to human trafficking, but it's just a personal choice. Oh, as in 3D versus 2D. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, there's definitely like, I don't know, ethical concerns as to where your porn is sourced. If anything, the modern like OnlyFans era is putting more, power back into the people actually creating the content. Not that it's like the best thing ever. I just imagine a lot of people trying to get into doing OnlyFans or like adult content as like a thing, and then not really seeing any reward, and then they have that tied to them forever. That people can sort of find them from, especially if they mess up their OPSEC with it, It's tricky.
Barnacle bowling. This is a satisfying example of how a bunch of design elements can come together in a matrix of interactions to create a memorable scenario for the player. We got barnacles, our physics simulations, slippery mud surface properties, and last but not least, explosive
barrel into the barnacles.
You've encountered all these on their own, but they're able to snap together naturally to create a moment we called barnacle bowling.
Can you eat the supply crate? I just want to see what happens. Oh no, this guy is the burnt corpse. Not that texture. It is, but it's also reminding many women that they're selling pics of their butthole for less than the price of a cup of coffee. I think it's good that they have to worry about consequences. I mean, that's fair. It's just kind of like how it works, right? The nature of things. Hentai is nice, but I feel like the whole 2D women are better than 3D will introduce even more problems in porn attachment itself. It's definitely true to some extent. That whole mindset of 3D over 2D. A lot of people like to meme about it. I hope they're memeing about it, but I also kind of understand. It definitely seems to be associated with, having disdain for women or having negative trauma or feelings about, women, 3D women, explosions. No. Concerned about news being shared. Best solution is not to take those photos to begin with. I mean, yes, understandable, but you do have to consider like the economic incentive there. Like, I was talking about it earlier, like when I had a chatter asking like if you ever do NSFW audio, whatever, with your they really like my voice apparently. And I was talking about like I would do it if I had the economy of scale. So the thing earlier you're mentioning about selling pics of your butthole for less than the price of a cup of coffee, it's an economy of scale, right? If you have 1,000 buyers of that, then maybe you're getting like $3,000 from one picture of your butthole,
Often,
right?
simpler mechanics encountered earlier in the game are pulled from more complex ones as a form of training. The teeter-totter puzzle,
So I guess that's
the
how
first
I'm thinking about it.
physics-based
Like,
contraption in the game,
if it really was a
actually derived from a
enough
later,
amount of
more
money.
intricate
I guess I'm
washing
more
machine
comfortable
puzzle
doing
in the
like
canals.
voice stuff specifically. In theory, not that I'm gonna branch out into that kind of content right now, but I'd be more comfortable doing voice stuff than, other forms of actually showing my body. Just because that's like, I don't know, your voice is still kind of attached to you, right? It's still somewhat identifiable. I mean, as a VTuber fan, I should know when people like immediately find and do like a VTuber's reincarnation just from their voice. Like your voice is pretty distinct, pretty unique. So it really kind of is, a part of you. Oh God, I'm so behind on chat. This is an interesting discussion though. Besides, I like remembering that real women can in fact be great. Yeah. Yeah, not everyone, I don't know, has those experiences. Some people get, a friend of mine, totally not me, end up with like trauma and don't really end up talking to women. And yeah, escapism is one thing people do. Escapism into fiction unto itself is very harmful. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something I see a lot. I feel like on the internet. it is nice seeing streamers who are like relatively normal, well-adjusted people, and remembering that, oh, not everyone is like these very insular, echo chambery online communities, right? Real women are great, but I'm not attracted to any women I would see in porn due to them being in it. Attraction to me is more based off personality. I think you have to acknowledge that, there is going to be some element of physical attractiveness that you can... Is it necessary? I don't know. Because, again, this is speaking about stuff that, relationship-related stuff that I haven't really experienced in my real life, and I feel like I'm, like, definitely not much of a qualified expert on the subject. But I do like the idea, at least, of, attracting, or, like, being attracted to someone based on personality. That is something that I feel that VTubing kind of does, but in a very weird way, because you're replacing the physical attractiveness part of like the human with the physical attractiveness of an anime character. And so it's kind of an abstracted way of like leveling the playing field and making personality the important thing. It's very different. I was at the mall today, saw a Hawk Tuah t-shirt. No! There's an economic incentive for me to deal drugs if I don't do it either. Morals matter more than money, IMO. I guess I'm thinking more of like the effort to reward ratio, because there's a lot of very lopsided effort to reward ratio stuff you can do on social media, on like the internet in general, I guess. But it is also kind of like a winner takes all market in entertainment, in, well, OnlyFans too, right? In streaming. But I know Pippa was saying, or I saw a clip of Pippa talking about how her number is growing because she's doing React Shorts. She's doing React Shorts to try and grow her number. And that is because it is very disproportionate effort to reward. It is very rewarding in terms of like giving you new viewers, right? Oh god, I'm so behind on chat. I am trying to read it in chronological order, just so you know. So I am gonna read this in chronological order. It's economy of scale, but it's like a digital tattoo. Once it's fixed or online, they're never getting taken down, and then you have to live with that in any relationship you have. It's true. It's true. But like, I don't know, I'm streaming. I'm talking about stuff that might be controversial, giving my opinion. Like in theory, that's on the internet forever. And I guess if you're doing, NSFW content, then it's probably more likely that you're gonna have people saving every last thing, being obsessed with you, and then, harassing you IRL and stuff like that. So one more point for VTubing, right? And having good OPSEC. Interesting topic. I got traumatized by a chick cheating on me with multiple friends at Furcons. Took me like 8 years to open up and trust again, but recently I've been able to open up and trust women. Then again, I did pay for a photo of 2 scantily clad women on Fremont Street. Remember, kids, the stripper doesn't love you. Man. Oh, man. But you can make that argument about VTubing too and streamers, right? They don't actually love you. They're just there for the paycheck. And I guess it's probably more apparent when they're big streamers and they have to deal with like very annoying fans. And that can probably like taint their, view of their entire fan base. I hope not. I hope not, though. I hope they can separate that out between the fans who do bad things and then the fans who are like good to them and do good things and aren't, doing bad things. Speaking in very vague terms. Physical attraction exists. For me, it's overridden anytime a woman exposes her body to strangers. I had a JP viewer say she wanted to date me, but she takes /posts lewds and was devastated when I told her I would never accept that in any relationship. That's a very, to me, that's like that's something that, you know, people should be able to, you know, have a personal preference on. And I think both views are valid. If you're totally okay with that, then that's fine. If you're totally not okay with that, then I also think that's fine. Me personally, what is my personal opinion? Again, it's very like hypothetical in my mind. It's something that I haven't really put a ton of thought into. I feel like I'm not that bothered. I don't really see it as cheating if she's just, you know, taking photos for the internet for other people to get off to, right? But again, that's kind of, again, it's like a very personal opinion thing. I think it's totally fine for people to have either view on it. I'll wait for you to catch up. Probably shouldn't say this, but I like looking at the PLs or IRLs of VTubers. Often find them very attractive anyway. This has often only made my parasocialism worse. Oh no. Oh no. Opinions are way less harmful to share than nudes. Not that I'm going to do this, but you'd probably have a stronger reaction to me sending you a pic of my nuts versus me saying I don't like something you did, right? All right, I'm caught up now. But yeah, please don't send me a pic of your nuts. But yeah, it's like the whole unsolicited thing, right? I don't know, if a streamer's like asking for for tributes or something, then they might just be doing it for attention though. I don't know. The way I see it, sexuality is not something to be shared with strangers. For me, it's something to be kept private in a relationship and only shared with a woman I am committed to. Yeah, that's like totally understandable, right? I guess, yeah, it might be something that maybe you don't consider it as cheating. So like my argument is less relevant there, but it's more of like a personal like personal belief that it should be private. I don't know, I guess I'm more okay with some things
uses the same principles of mass and ramps,
other
but in a more straightforward way that players can directly
like,
interact with,
that's
helping
the way
them
things go,
understand the
right?
game's
People have
physics
different
and making
views,
later
and
puzzles easier to
hopefully
tackle. This puzzle also highlights the analog nature of the physics
people can
system,
have different views and
with the
still
placement
like
of cement
accept
blocks
each
and the
other
player's
and,
own weight both
you know,
factoring into the solution.
live together in peace. More respectful than a lot of people, yeah. You're purer than I am. Oh. Okay. But yeah, I am a pretty strong, again, personal opinion thing. I'm pretty strongly for monogamy in relationships and not like cheating on people. I just don't really consider a person doing porn to, well, that doesn't involve like having physical contact with another person to be like cheating in my mind. I'd consider sharing one's sexuality with people other than one's romantic partner cheating. Yeah, it's important to be able to discuss differences in opinion without getting upsetty spaghetti. Definitely, yeah. It's something that, I don't know, I see people getting more like polarized on the internet, and I'm hoping that we're seeing a bit of a return away from that. And I hope that I can, you know, give my take on a thing and have people not like try and kill me for it, right? Or even if you disagree with some things that I say, that you still enjoy my content and me as a streamer, right? We don't have to agree on like literally every little thing out there. There's the whole idea of like emotional cheating too, right? And I guess it does introduce, you know, a bit more of a risk for, I don't know, other things like that. But to me, I don't see it as cheating until it crosses that point. Polarization is silly. Like, even if someone's the type to unironically use a cuck chair, that has zero impact on relationships. Yeah, I've always been pretty for, like, two consenting adults in the privacy of their own home. Not my business. They should do what they want as long as they're not harming anyone. Right? As long as they're not like permanently harming themselves either. That's a little concerning too. All right, what was this?
Often, simpler mechanics encountered earlier in the game are pulled from more complex ones as a form of training.
More intricate washing machine puzzle.
The first physics-based contraption in the game, was actually derived from a later, more intricate washing machine.
Cement blocks and the player's weight. Analog, right? Yeah. Adding up the weight on one end. This chick was getting dong pics and cosplays from her friends on Twitter, so I definitely consider that cheating. Yeah, maybe I just don't have real experience with this. It's all very like theoretical and hypothetical in my mind. I don't know, getting dick pics, like let's say she provides ratings as a service, right? You know, the other thing I hear is that a lot of big OnlyFans creators hire like social media companies to do all their like fan interactions for them, and they pay random people overseas to chat with you, making you think that you're chatting with this extremely popular OnlyFans creator, but it's actually some random dude getting paid like some however many dollars an hour. Oh, chopper. Oh, physics objects.
Combine attack helicopter.
Hiring a social media manager would make perfect sense.
Players have had glimpses before.
Yeah, there's like a whole expose article thing written that I saw
the Combine attack
about it. About the
this
whole
chopper relentlessly destroys a
OnlyFans economy
forcing them
being
to move forward or risk being gunned down. We wanted this sequence to feel
running
tense and
on
menacing,
random
with the helicopter seeming far too powerful
dudes
to confront
overseas
directly, and maintaining that intensity through the canals until
messaging people on these apps.
To achieve this, we heavily constrained the helicopter's movement based on specific gameplay goals. In this map, designed as a dash from cover to cover under helicopter fire, we created a ring path in the sky above
sound
the arena.
before it charges
the
again.
helicopter always travels to the farthest point on that ring from the player, keeping it visible and making it easier for us to place cover in just the right spot.
Oh, that's interesting. Makes sense. AI actually Indians. Yeah, something like that.
Normal maps.
Oh, normal
Half-Life
maps.
2 was developed during an exciting time for graphics, as the first programmable shader-supported graphics cards were hitting the market.
Ooh.
Using this technology, we became one of the first games to implement normal maps, a technique that enhanced the lighting on surface geometry. The normal map described the surface's roughness, allowing each pixel of a polygon to be lit in a way that made surfaces appear bumpier and more detailed than ever possible in Half-Life 1.
Yeah, I love seeing techniques like these. I remember playing like is it like Dirt 3 and admiring like the bump maps and stuff like the parallax occlusion mapping. I guess that's like later techniques that actually add more geometry basically. But yeah, a lot of AI companies I've heard getting like exposed for, you know, not having a proper functioning product and just pretending that it's working when they're hiring people to do their content. YouTube probably has a lot of, you know, content moderation stuff they're having people do for them. Early shaders were really impressive. Yeah, it really made you feel like, you know, oh my god, graphics are improving this fast? Wow, in 10 years we're gonna have photorealistic graphics. It's crazy. And now we have everything's like freaking stagnated. It's been the same for like years. Makes sense why I wish these companies would be honest, because managing a team of people doing that kind of stuff is actually a feat unto itself. Yeah, the thing I hear about YouTube is just that, like at the scale that they are, it's kind of impossible for them not to have as many things automated as possible. And so they can try and have like you know, not fully automated stuff, but it ends up with like, you know, underpaid people from third world countries clicking on the moderation decisions and not actually like reading
Autosave
what
dangerous.
making like a proper
In Half-Life 1,
decision
we
on
had
things.
a set of autosaves throughout the game, hand placed by level designers.
They only
will
do so much.
trigger
They're
when
only the
player
biggest
reaches
platform in
some
the world.
specific moment or position in the game.
Yeah.
This ensures
I
that
mean,
the game was automatically saved for
the
you as you
scale is
traverse
just
through Black Mesa's
absurd.
corridors. In Half-Life 2, we found ourselves needing a new tool. The problem arose in some of the more
There's more
complex
content being
arenas
uploaded
we
to YouTube
built.
than, like,
Some of those encounters would last for quite
anyone
a
could
while
ever watch.
and features multiple sets of enemies. Others were long, sprawling mixes of exploration
Sure,
and
they do have
combat
the money,
without
but
any
then
clear
that would
separation
feed into
between
their
the two.
profits, right?
We never want an autosave where the player is in danger of dying right after loading the game, because that could place the player in a death loop. If you played enough games back then, you definitely
Death loop.
found
Oh my God, he
yourself
said the
in this
thing.
situation at least once. So unless we deliberately crafted pauses in every arena's flow, there wasn't always a safe
Don't
place
mean that in
to put an
sarcastic way
autosave.
either. Managing shit on that
After
skill's
some
beyond my ability to
experimentation, we
fathom.
implemented a feature called
It
Autosave Dangerous.
really is.
This was
yeah.
a level designer tool
There's
that
like no
combined
way
an
to do it other
autosave
than
with an
automation.
associated
And that's how you
time
get
frame.
issues like
When
the
triggered by the
thing
level
I made a whole
designer, it
video on
immediately saved the game, but kept
about
the save
legitimate
off to
creators
the
being
side,
demonetized because they're trying
not
to stop
available
spam
as a
bots.
save game to load from. If the player then stayed alive for the specified time frame, then the save would be committed and used as the most recent autosave. This allowed level designers to
that's
put an
interesting.
autosave at a reasonable place or time in an arena, specify a time, like 30 seconds, and if the player was still alive for 30 seconds, the autosave would be used.
Your observations on the Twitter algo are also quite entertaining. What did I say about Twitter? I think I just talked about, like, you know, not getting a ton of views on my thing, but that's just because I don't have followers. And, like, if a large person were to retweet, you know, the tweets I posted, then, you know, it would get more views. Well, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Soundscapes. In Half-Life 1, ambient sounds were placed by
Ambient
hand
sounds, my
and then
favorite.
individually tuned. For Half-Life 2, we wanted more ambient sounds in our environment with higher quality and less
I did
manual
notice
effort
that
for
there's
placement.
a whole
So we
communities
built
feature
a
now.
system that we
And
call
it seems
the
like some
Soundscape
communities
system.
get like a lot
The
of
Soundscape
views.
is basically a small program that controls which ambient
So I am
sounds
interested
play,
in
where they come from, and then how they
trying that
behave
out.
in a
It seems
specific
very similar to
environment.
like
So
Reddit
flies
subreddits,
buzzing,
basically.
wind blowing, birds, a distant train, distant combat. The Soundscape system could then randomly select and play these sounds, and also, really importantly, handle the smooth transition.
Seems like
as the
doing
player
like fan
moves
works
through
for
environments.
VTubers that are popular
Soundscapes
is
can
like a
also
very
contain other
reliable way to
soundscapes,
get
and that allows us to create reusable
interaction.
collections of sounds. So, for instance, distant combat might be
Guess that's the
small
point of like
arms
fan art
fire,
hashtags and stuff.
distant explosions, a passing helicopter. And these soundscapes would dynamically assemble and play from many individual
I love the
sounds,
soundscapes in
and
these
that
games.
helps us avoid the artificial feel of a
Mine's on
single
the
looping
tangents I'm
track.
talking about.
Overall, the Soundscape system was a real workhorse for audio in Half-Life 2, and it's pretty much responsible for every sound you hear that isn't directly driven by gameplay.
Right, so what was I talking about? Twitter? Twitter algorithm, fan interaction, fan tag. Oh, right, I wanted to talk about so I don't have any art tags, fan tags, meme tags, whatever. I was thinking of making one for my 1-year anniversary, for the debut anniversary stream next week, not this week. Probably just gonna do like one fan art / meme / anything tag. I don't think I'm at the scale where it really matters for me to differentiate the tags that much. And I don't really mind if a tag gets cluttered. But if, you know, in the future, the tags get cluttered, then we can just make more, right? So there's that. Probably like an NSFW tag. And honestly, that's probably all I need now that I think about it, right? Fan art tag, 18+ fan art tag. That's it, right? All memes, other discussions, they can just go under the fan art tag. Like that's it, right? Looking at details like this is fascinating. I don't even bother to look at my analytics most of the time, but I'm amazed I have a 30% female viewership of autistic flight sim stuff. That's really interesting, actually. I know my female viewership's just been going down, and it's like at 3.6% last I checked. But that's in views. And the watch time is even worse. Because females watch less of my content. I don't know, maybe I just give off too much row energy experience. Man talking to other man experience. I don't know. I've only known one female viewer ever. Reliable way to interaction farm that. I think that's usually the intention, but it's effective. It does seem, yeah, effective. Like I was talking about earlier, effort to reward on social media can be very skewed in a lot of ways. Like the FIBA clip where she's talking about don't watch her react shorts, they're not good content, is basically what she was saying. But they do get her more viewers, more number, right? I just want people to mention me directly if they make art or memes while I have no scale. Yeah, I don't know, I guess I'm thinking about the future. And I have had like a few people make fan art and they also added me like I said to do so in my Twitter bio. My chat is consistently very male and occasionally gay. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It sort of seems like to me, it sort of seems like the VTuber space is very male dominated. But that's probably just because I'm very disconnected from the niche of like male VTubers that appeal to female viewers. Fujo baiting, maybe. And again, I don't really have a masculine presenting model. It's very, very femboy energy. And so despite the occasional claims I see of females who are actually into femboys, I can only surmise that that is a very small minority that occasionally gets attention because it's kind of funny. Funny thing is that's exactly what I do too. I'm just hanging out like you are. Maybe they like the Kingdom Hearts stuff. Oh, that must be it. The the types of content I'm playing. I don't know. Maybe. Good thing about the future like that. Your model is extremely submissive and breedable. Thank you. Pippa is the only woman who likes femboys who aren't gay. Oh my god. The straight femboy niche. It might be too niche. I might need make some content strategy changes. Oh, is this where they introduce the manhacks? Oh boy. Kon-neo. I guess not yet. Extremely niche. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Oh.
Manhack map. We call
Manhack
this
map.
Manhack map.
Oh, this is when
We
they
wanted to
introduced
give players
manhacks.
the sense that hundreds of citizens inhabited the hidden nooks and crannies of City 17. At this point in the game, it had been a while since players had seen a citizen, and we wanted to explain the significance of the manhacks, which was the first physics-based enemy that we created. In the original concept, there was a video arcade in the city where players could fly manhacks around to attack virtual citizens. Eventually, players would discover that the manhacks were real, and so were the citizens. As the Combine occupation became more fleshed
Ender's
out,
Game reference.
this idea of a video arcade became an odd fit and eventually fell by the wayside.
Wasn't that was also a plot point in Psychopaths 2. For all that it was worth. I mean, season 1 was just too good. They really couldn't live up to it in all the continuations. I like your character and such. I think it's fine to use a femboy model and not actually being one. Hell, Brolime certainly isn't a little lonely, but he makes it the dank and gritty beta. Oh, right, the whole Half-Life 1 or Half-Life 2 beta. The one that got leaked, too. Right. Oh, do I just bring over, like, boxes and stuff? I mean, Brolime has older brother energy. I refer to him as my dad. Brolime's cool. Brolime is cool. Hey, we did it. We solved the thing. Oh, and I guess you could, like, put those over in theory. There we go. There we go. Look, he's got a little pot and a kettle. Oh my god. Boil some water. I've been drinking, like, hot water. I just, like, warm it up in the microwave, actually, recently, because it's been getting colder. And it's kind of nice. I don't know, I guess I could make tea. I like tea. But, you know, that's like one step more than just heating up the water. Nail Ocean for a reason. Nail Ocean, I guess if I had to choose one. Yeah, Brolime is kind of... I mean, shame. I mean, good for him that he's, you know, graduated from Neat Dumb. But, yeah. does feel like there's been, you know, less content from him. Understandably, he's good people. He is. He's a really good guy from, I don't know, all my interactions I've had with him. I think he worries too much about, I don't know, being a grifter or whatever, that he has like a lot of hang-ups and stuff about that. I don't know. He's a cool guy. Looking forward to hang out with him and other flavors at Offkai. I didn't go to Offkai last year, but I kind of wish I did. And I've kind of been thinking about, did I just softlock myself? Oh my god, okay, there we go. But I've kind of been thinking about it more. And I would like to go if possible. It's understandable I feel that way often myself, like I've gotten OC, I've done free streams as it is, but still don't want to ask to join FlaVR yet. Guess it is kind of tricky. Like, you know, in theory anyone can use the tag, but there's still sort of like a somewhat of a community that is already formed, and so it's gonna be a little awkward if you're trying to get the approval of that existing community. But I see, I don't know, people starting their own things as like FlaVR talents or whatever. And I guess you don't really have to worry about the gathering the existing audience if you gathering the favor of the existing audience if you don't really have the audience in the first place, not to like shame people for having low number, but I don't know, to me you kind of gotta just build a lot of it yourself at this point, it seems like. And honestly, I'm not even sure if there's much, like, oh, is that the first headcrab zombie? It's crazy. Oh, and a grenade, wow. Like, to me, I guess I don't really see, like, that much sort of power to the FlaVR tag at this point. I don't know. It is kind of nice, like, meeting other people in FlaVR and, you know, having that sort of community there if you choose to interact with it. You should go. Oh. Alright. Where was this conversation even going? I feel like I'm getting lost. Talking about Offkai, talking about FlaVR, joining FlaVR. Well, New Vegas Day was Saturday and Sunday, missed it by a week. A lot of people watch my stuff for FlaVR adjacent viewers, so I guess I've already done that in gaining favor of existing viewers. Well, that's kind of good. It's probably fine, yeah. I think it's fine to like self-promote yourself. We're still like a pretty small niche community. It doesn't really feel like there's that much, I don't know, sort of grifting or cloud chasing to be done at this point, right? I guess is what I'm trying to get at with this, whatever I'm trying to say. At this point, I feel like most of what I've done is on my own. I guess I did meet people that I probably wouldn't otherwise have met if I wasn't like sort of in this FlaVR community. But again, like theoretically, I could have just been like a FlaVR friend or whatever. But I just really wanted this design. I wanted the femboy design. This is like the one remaining femboy design when I joined FlaVR. And I guess that's what I wanted. I may be overthinking this, just need to ask Mumber for a channel after my next stream, like I've seen Lula and Amanda do. That's what I like about FlaVR. I want to make friends and connect with other VTubers. I don't care about Cloud and actively avoid it due to the aggro it allows. Out of the that is true. I guess, I don't know, I would like to have like a relatively large community, but I guess I'm okay with, I don't know, drawing aggro if that is the cost of doing business, if that is like a necessary part, if a necessary like step in growing. I'm not sure if it even is necessary, because I see like pretty large streamers who don't seem to get a lot of hate, but maybe I will end up attracting some hate if I stay for long enough in certain communities. I don't know. Gotta go. Thank you for your stream. 5 a.m. Neapolitan was fun. All right, have a good night. JPZ, thanks for watching. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess in my eyes, there's not that much of a grift to be had anymore. But yeah. I guess I can't really tell you like what is the right thing to do here or what isn't. I'm just one person, right? This is a whole like community, and you might piss some people off, you might not piss some people off. It is what it is, right? If you're comfortable with that, then yeah. Some aggro will be drawn just for existing. I guess what we... I guess that works. Ow. Alright. What was I saying? What was I doing? Oh no, man hacks. I guess what I mean is I try to avoid activities that would gain needless attention, if that makes sense. No flush pushing on X. Steam cleaning. Oh my god. The cleaning, it's a new cleaning simulator. It's a power wash sim, but it's steam vents. You have like 2. I don't know. You can die. I have the cash. Oh, was this the way forward? Where's the Lambda cache? Ooh. Oh no. No oxygen. Oh. Alright then. Wee. I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that like I haven't really drawn any aggro now that I can think about it. So I wonder if it's, you know, in the way you present yourself and act online. I wonder if it's possible that, you know, I potentially could keep avoiding the aggro. I'm at 1. I'm 1. I'm literally 1. I don't know. Maybe I just am still small enough that it doesn't really matter. But, you know, theoretically, eventually I am going to run into and have to deal with this kind of stuff. Little aggro thing, right? If I collab with, like, popular females, right? Then that would probably bother some people. What do you mean about wanting a decent sized community? Trying to game, trying to read. Probably just limited difficulty. What's the grenade actually? I don't know what you do to draw aggro. Yeah, collabing with larger females. Male on stream! Male on stream! I still love that Shauna clip. I feel like I quote it every now and then. I feel like I'm gonna draw aggro just by, I don't know, quoting that Shondo clip. I feel like I am, what's the word? Inviting like the wrath of I'm inviting God to smite me down, except instead of God, it's just the, I don't know, VTuber community at large.
Barrel factory. This room, filled with an absurd number of exploding barrels, inspires some good-natured debate within the team around how far to push the plausibility of our world. Frankly, one exploding barrel is probably too many in regards to realism. In the real world, barrels really shouldn't explode, even if you were to shoot them.
Oh boy. There we go. More manics. Ah. Always with the FPS games, me being unable to read and talk to chat. Damn it. Alright. I do love my FPS games, though. Anyway. Locked in. Locked in. He was having sex with the females! Barrels don't explode, Errol. No! My immersion! My immersion! No! It's worse than finding out that Neapolitan wears glasses IRL, but doesn't on his model. No! FPS games are fun. They are, yeah. Anyway, what was I saying about drawing aggro? It's still like something I haven't really experienced, but that's probably, again, due to like my size, due to not really collabing with females. I guess I was like a little more worried about it earlier on, and now that I've been around for this long and nothing really bad has seemed to happen, I might just stop worrying about it until it becomes a problem, right? Right? Because if it's not a problem right now, then do I really need to worry about it? Crouch jumping. If I do reach that point, then, you know, I deal with that when I deal with that. What'd you think of Mollington's BL agency? Oh no, I was too busy. I think I was busy and I was like, I saw like a little bit of it. I saw that it was happening and I tuned in for a tiny bit, but couldn't really watch the whole thing. But I like the concept. I like the bit. It's pretty funny. Gonna do a War Thunder collab with Twitchy eventually. Hopefully that doesn't draw aggro. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're being a reasonable person most of the time, then I would hope that reasonable people would not find any issues with you. Now, as to how realistic it is to expect every person on the internet to be reasonable, you know, probably pretty unreasonable. But as long as like you're... how do I say this? I know, as long as I am doing what I think is right and being a reasonable person, then I don't see like a reason to pay attention to anyone who would get mad at me for whatever reason. Right? You can't just give in to every single person because, you know, people are going to give unreasonable demands of you. You can't please everyone, right? He made a Shota dog boy. It was very funny, heavily reminded me of someone similar. I was considering like a Shota model, I guess, idea for like a, I don't know, future model maybe. Wise outlook, no need to let the potential of there being problems prevent you from doing what you want. Yeah. Yeah. Right? You can't live in fear, right? You've gotta, you know, live. And if that, you know, hurts other people, then so be it. The hedgehog's dilemma, maybe? Anyway. If you're just talking to them like any other friend, there shouldn't be any issues. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Actions speak louder than words, and that's why acting with integrity is always the best option. Ow. Oh. Oh. Yeah, the whole... I don't know. You do what you can. You do the best that you can. And if you are being a reasonable person and there are unreasonable people on the internet making demands on you, then, you know, get filtered. Then those people can get filtered, right? They weren't going to be a part of your audience anyway. And you should probably you know, cater to and support the people who do like the stuff that you do, where you're just being yourself and being you. I think that's the biggest sort of freeing part of content creation, is that you can just be you, and then if people resonate with that, then people resonate with that, and that's good. The spiky boy problem. Evangelion. Yeah, I think I watched it a long time ago. How long ago, actually? Maybe not. Actually, no, it was pretty long ago. I think I was relatively... I guess I'd consider myself young at the time. But I feel like it was a message I kind of needed. It related to me in a lot of ways. In, like, the part of my life that I was watching it in. Am I dumb? Am I lost? I feel like there's something... Something with the water level I'm supposed to do. That's what's good about being a Chuba. You can just do what you want, others will find you if you keep at it. Having a good attitude also helps a lot. That too I hear a lot of people talking about. I don't know, the sorts of things that are bad for PR that make you look like a bad person. Right? Oh, that's what the whole first aid kits are there for. There we go. Oh, water go up. Water go up. Wait. Huh. You can't go underwater, can you? Nerds. Ooh. Oh, here, where you break the stuff. I need to breathe, I need to breathe. Like I had my internet cut out tonight, did Crafty and War Thunder, but still laughed about it on stream rather than get a brainwormy. I think that's better. Going to be better both for mental health as well as audience retention. Yeah, if you don't take it too seriously, if you get too negative, then I don't think anyone's really trying to watch stuff that is too negative. Oh, these wooden dowels are like unbreakable, so that's the... You can't really soft lock yourself here. Uh-oh. Can't breathe. But yeah, mental health, right? It's extremely important, right? You gotta take care of yourself, and it ties into so many other aspects of life. It also ties in with your physical health. Your physical health and your mental health are, I think, are very linked. Well, there we go.
Rising water. The floating bridge and wooden spools here introduce the concept of buoyancy as a tool for the player. In this case, it's not really a puzzle. It's just some fun for the player interacting with the physics system. But later, we revisit this gameplay element in the canals to raise a ramp for the airboat.
Can't breathe. And I need a... Sorry, not to like totally burst your bubble. I feel like I need a certain level of funniness if people are gonna do edgy jokes. Right? I guess that's my concern with like edgy humor in general, is like if the payoff isn't worth the edge of the joke.
Rendering systems. In the early 2000s, we couldn't afford a general-purpose renderer with the broad capabilities of a modern engine. Instead, CPU, GPU, and memory limitations required highly specific solutions to rendering challenges so we could squeeze every bit of performance out of a player's hardware. As a result, Half-Life 2 actually has 3 different rendering engines. One for world geometry, another for outdoor terrain, and a third for dynamic entities like characters and objects. These 3 renderers had to support a complicated matrix of features. Collisions, ray traces, decals, offline lighting, visibility calculations, and more.
Dynamic entities.
On top of that, each renderer needed to support DirectX 7, 8, and 9. The differences among these DirectX versions were significant, often requiring different data storage and rendering approaches. They even used different programming languages. Altogether, we essentially had 9 different renderers, each needing unique solutions, and getting them all to look consistent was one of the most challenging tech problems we faced during development.
It's really interesting. I guess that explains why like the characters look slightly different from how like the environments are rendered, and now in modern game engines they're all sort of the same. Yeah. They're like, that's why I post so much about the importance of physical fitness and not staying up all night long. Me making my viewers stay up all night long. The opportunity presented itself on a platter. Alright. Alright, if you find it funny. All that pre-baked lighting is different, yeah. It is, yeah. Wait, which way am I? Oh. Where am I going? There we go. I need to stay up and finish this PowerPoint for stream tomorrow. So much thanks, Neo. Yeah, enjoy the second monitor content. As I keep mentioning. I don't know, I feel like I talk about that a lot on stream. Oh hey, there's like a lambda cache here, right? Something wrong with my mouse? I don't know. Whatever. Not about to do an end tower in your chat. Man. Man. I sure hope not. Second monitor content helping produce second monitor content. Yeah, it's the second monitor content economy. Oh, wait. Alright, go up here, cross the thing, and then go down. We do need to get to bed soonish, but this is a fun combo. Alright. Glad you're enjoying. I'm probably going to end as soon as I get to the airboat, because I think that's the next chapter, right?
During development, we faced numerous decisions influenced by our choice of minimum spec, the least powerful CPU and GPU combination that would still deliver a good experience for customers.
Right.
In the early 2000s, there was far more variety among GPUs than today, with wide differences not only in speed, but in fundamental approaches to rendering. But at the time, we had no real data on the hardware our customers were using. What CPUs and GPUs
that's why they got
have?
the Steam hardware
How much
server,
RAM?
right?
Which version of Windows? We reached out to Microsoft hoping they might know answers to questions
You know, your
like,
Zatsu is good because I'm paying more attention to the content of the
DX7 cards
gameplay.
are in use? Or DX8?
That's good to
Unfortunately,
hear.
they didn't
That's good
have
to
the
hear,
data
though.
either. Realizing
I'm
we were
hoping
at
that
risk
people are
of making
coming
bad
more
decisions
for
without
me
these
than
insights,
for like whatever
we developed
specific
an
game I'm playing,
analysis
but
tool
I do
that
like
allowed
Half-Life 2.
players to
I
report
do
their
like the
hardware
developer
specs to
commentary.
us and integrated it into the early version of Steam. The data was so useful that we decided to make it public, launching the Steam Hardware Survey in April 2003.
Yeah, I still look
It's
at
been helping
like
us
the
and hopefully other developers
VR
make
headset
informed
market
decisions
share
ever since.
in like the Steam hardware survey. I find that interesting. Stuff like that, yeah. I do try and do my Zatsu.
Dynamic shadows.
Oh,
With a
there we go,
focus on
SMG ammo.
character and physics objects, we felt a dynamic shadow system was necessary to render them all in all their glory.
Feel the same way.
In
Nice to have people come by
2003,
just hang out.
GPUs didn't have any dedicated shadow capabilities that they have today.
And also because that's
so performance was a tricky problem.
how you get
Our eventual solution
repeat
went something
recurring
like
viewers
this,
when you're a
running every
variety
frame.
streamer and you're playing a bunch
First,
of different games.
find all the objects that
I guess
might
we're playing
have
the same
shadows in
thing
view.
more often.
Doing
I guess I
this
play
meant
like the Spire
figuring
pretty
out which
often, so
objects were
that's
in the
like
view
the
frustum or slightly
thing that I
behind
return
it,
to
to
usually.
catch entities that were off
I guess
screen but
similar
whose
genres
shadows
of
might
games.
end up on screen. Then
So
we'd
excited
render
for
a
Valve
black
Decker when
shadow
it comes
version
out.
of each one of those objects
And I'm
into a
still
single
annoyed
shadow
that Windows
texture.
is like
For that render,
killing
we'd
support
use
for
the
Windows
lowest
Mixed
level
Reality
detail
because I
model
have
for
one.
the object to be as fast as possible.
That's my headset that you're
Finally,
killing.
we use the shadow texture to draw each of the
hope that open
shadows into
source
the
can do
player's
something with
view,
it.
darkening the already rendered pixels. We carefully cut around each shadow in that shadow texture to ensure that they correctly overlaid each other in the case where multiple shadows overlap.
Wait, this is complex.
It's
This
neat
is
to look
like
back on
technical.
how we did these things, but ultimately we're a lot happier
Notice
today,
all the
where
detail.
GPU hardware
Okay.
makes it
Use
a
a
much
shadow
more
texture to
straightforward
draw each of the
problem.
shadows in the player's view. Hold on, I'm gonna like
Dynamic
listen to this
shadows.
because I want to pay
With a
attention
focus
to it.
on character and
But yeah,
physics
the Decker
objects,
does sound
we
cool.
felt a dynamic shadow
Makes sense
system
with what
was
they're trying to do
necessary
with
to
like
render
Steam
them
Deck
all
and
in all
with
their
VR.
glory.
Okay.
In 2003, GPUs didn't have any dedicated shadow capabilities.
Find all
that
the
they
objects that might have
today.
shadows in view.
So
Figuring
performance
out
was a
which
tricky
objects are in the
problem.
view frustum, slightly
Our
behind it
eventual
to catch
solution went
entities
something
that
like
were off
this,
screen,
running
but whose
every
shadow
frame.
might end up on screen. Then we render a
First,
black
find
shadow
all the
version
objects that might have
of
shadows
each
in
one of
view.
those objects into a single
Doing this
shadow
meant
texture
figuring out
that
which
render use the
objects were in
lowest
the
level of
view
detail model for
frustum
the
or
object to be as
slightly
fast as
behind
possible.
it, to catch
Finally, use
entities
the
that were
shadow
off
texture to
screen,
draw
but
each of
whose
the shadows
shadows
into the
might end
player's
up
view,
on
darkening the
screen.
already rendered
Then we'd
pixels.
render a black shadow version of
Okay,
each
that's
one of
like
those
pretty
objects into
understandable,
a
I guess.
single shadow texture. For that render, we'd use the lowest level of detail.
We carefully cut
model for
around
the
each
object
shadow in
to
that
be as
shadow
fast
texture
as
to ensure they
possible.
correctly overlaid each other
Finally,
in the
we
case
use the
where
shadow
multiple
texture to
shadows
draw each of the shadows
overlapped.
into the player's view, darkening the already rendered pixels.
Need to look back on how we did these things.
carefully cut
Ultimately,
around
we're a
each
lot
shadow
happier
in that
today, where
shadow
GPU hardware
texture
makes it a
to
much more
ensure that they
straightforward
correctly-
problem. Oh, yeah. GPU shadows.
Get going!
They're killing it. I feel guilty for selling my old WMR headset to a buddy who was only for $100. That's so much math. Holy shit. Maybe I'm just biased because I'm somewhat familiar with graphics stuff, and so it doesn't seem like that complicated me. Whatever. You draw low detail polygons, and then you like do some math, and then calculate where the shadows are going to be based on those low detail polygons. And then you render it on top of stuff. It is still like somewhat simplified from
canisters.
You know, all the details,
Used
all the gory
headcrab
details.
canisters are seen later in Ravenholm, so we decided to show them here to tell the story of how they're used by the Combine. The story is that the Combine have weaponized Zen fauna to use them against the humans. Burrowed headcrabs was added as a new feature for this section that was expanded into a larger area that is meant to show a citizen shanty that was decimated by the headcrab assault.
Man. Commenter fucked up. Headcrabs are fucked up. Headcrab zombies fucked up. Oh, there you go. Don't become a zombie. I can visualize the system he's describing, but damn, it's complex. It's basic, but hearing it explained out amazes me. It really is, yeah. There's this one graphics like programming YouTuber, Acerola, who I watch occasionally, and he has like some really interesting content. He makes good videos, and also since it's graphics programming, it's fun to like see what the actual end result is. So I think it works out well for like content. Oh no! He threw the barrel at me. Why is the SMG is so much louder than the other? I guess the pistol's just quiet. Basic compared to modern stuff like GI. Yeah. Makes sense. But I mean, if you think about it, GI and stuff, they're really just more about simulating how it's done in the real world. Ow. Die. Kind of like the swing speed of the Half-Life 2 crowbar compared to like the Half-Life 1 crowbar. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice. If you haven't seen Acerola and you're a nerd like me, it's good content. He makes good content. Oh hey, zombie jump scare. Gordon worked on his swinging arm while in stasis. Yeah, I guess he swings. Actually, do you swing fast? Yeah, you swing faster in Half-Life 1, right? But you can one-hit the head crabs in Half-Life 2. Alright, die. It's like canonically, Gordon's not wearing a helmet, right? So how is he like deflecting the head crabs from jumping on his head? Unless he is like wearing a helmet. Okay, now we're at the airport. Airboat.
Airboat intro. This is where the player gets the first vehicle of the game, the airboat. We wanted to create a safe space for players to practice driving the airboat for as long as they wanted before moving on. The arena is sprinkled with opportunities for jumps and tricks, and we filled the arena with toxic slime to keep players in the airboat longer.
Need to get to bed. It's been a lot of fun. Hope you have a great night. Good timing.
Forward on foot.
All right, have a good night. Yeah, I'll read this
Combinatorial
one.
shader explosion.
Listen to this one.
Rendering became much
More
more
rendering.
complex
More
during
rendering.
Half-Life 2's
Do you watch Victor
development with the
Overtime?
addition of hardware shaders. Small bits of code
Night, Chica.
controlling
Good
how
night.
each pixel
Good
on a
night.
surface should render.
I don't think I've heard that.
In 2003, shaders were far more limited
I'll
than
look it up
today.
after this.
Half-Life 2 era shaders lacked conditionals and had severe code size restrictions.
No conditionals.
This meant no if-else branching
Severe
logic to
code
adjust
size
based on
restrictions.
different conditions, and no large shaders with broad feature sets. Also, compiling shaders as needed was just too slow
spent
to
a
be
little
useful,
time
so we had to pre-compile
like,
them.
compute
To work
shaders
within these
and
limits, we had to
all
compute
the
every possible shader
crazy
combination and store
conditional
each one
branching stuff you
individually
can
as
do.
its own shader. For example, if a shader affected a surface based on a single light source, we'd need another shader version for 2 lights, another for 3, and so on. And it was combinatorial. If that shader also supported a normal map, we'd need 2 versions per light, one with a normal map and one without.
Oh man, that sounds like a
with
huge pain in the ass.
Blending, vertex tinting, specular highlights, alpha testing, and various other light types, directional point and spotlights, our shader count exploded. By release, we had thousands
that's
of
why game
individual
engines
shaders.
Have, directional
Shortly
lights, point
after,
lights,
we
spotlights.
Lost Coast, adding HDR
because
support,
of the way the shaders
shader
work to
again.
calculate them.
Once compiling shaders on the local developer's machine started taking too long, we switched to distributing the shader compiles over the entire network using VMPI. We also
I think
had
they
a
mentioned
dynamic
that in
shader
the
compilation
documentary.
mode that was useful for
Distributed
developing
compiles.
shaders that gave fast turnaround at the expense of frame rate hitching when a shader had to be compiled.
Yeah, I know like shader compilation is a problem in a lot of games now, even like modern games and stuff. Yay, airboat. Yay. Alright, let's save. New save. There we go. Root canal, return to main menu. Ah, truly one of the games of all time. What was I gonna say? Oh right, the WMR headset. I don't know if I've ever really have a need to upgrade. Besides the fact that they are killing support for WMR headsets. I have an HP Reverb G2 and it's a good headset, but Windows is killing support for them, so I guess it's a fucking paperweight. Once I don't know. Once they kill support, I'm gonna have to switch over to Windows 11. Oh fuck. If I don't wanna stay on Windows 10 and the frickin' have security vulnerabilities. Oh man. That pisses me off. And on Windows 11 I won't have support for WMR. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Besides hope for the open source community to do something, but I'm sort of losing hope because it's a very niche thing and a very hard problem. A lot of technical investment to do. I like how there's all the different title screens with the, as you go through the game. Nice little area. And these are all like individual maps, right? Yeah. Workshop. Lost Coast. Nice. Nice that they included all that. But yeah. Half-Life 2. It's a great game. I know there's a VR mod too, actually. I wonder if that's going to get upgraded or updated to the new update of the game. Or if that's just its own standalone thing, kind of. But yeah, there's that. Half-Life Alyx I still want to play through. Again, I think I might have had a RAM problem with it crashing when I was playing it normally, so hopefully a RAM upgrade this Black Friday is going to fix that. There's that. And when I do get the RAM, I'm probably just going to remove the new RAM fund from my throne, because I did put like a new RAM fund that is approximately the cost of the RAM I was looking at. But if no one donates to that, that's fine. That's fine. I would rather have just the cash directly, because that's more flexibility. But I don't know, maybe I just have like a kind of autistic view of of like money and gifts, right? To me, if you give me $25 and I buy something for $25, that to me is equivalent to you gifting me the thing directly. But I know like from like an actual like experience emotional standpoint, it's pretty different, right? So yeah, I understand. I know Pomp was talking about it on Discord about not being able to buy the controller for me that I ordered off AliExpress because it was on sale. It was like $13, or not 13. It was like $17, and that's saving like like a third of the price of the thing. That's like a big savings. And to me, if I can save $10 on the thing, buying it for myself, then I'd rather do that than make someone pay $25. And I don't mind the shipping delay, the shipping time from like China, ordering it from China versus ordering it from Amazon. That's fine to me. To me, that's important because, money is important. Money's important. Money can be exchanged for goods and services. And it's also your time, right? You're working, you get paid for your time or you pay someone else for their time to save you time, something like that. That is one way I think of money, is like it's time. It's time. Time is money, as they say. But yeah, I don't know. I've been like pretty like not advertising of the whole fact that I set up stream elements and Throne. Actually, the whole reason I set it up in the first place was Bunny chatting in my getting over it streamers like, how do I give you money now? I was like, oh, he might have been joking, but you know, it's something I should consider, and like I was able to set up at that time, so I just I set it up because, you know, if someone does want to give money, then I guess it would be nice to for them to have that option and for me to be able to receive it. And also the fact that Stream Elements gives you more of a cut than if you're donating through YouTube. But I completely understand like wanting to donate through the platform, through Twitch or through YouTube, just because it's more integrated. You see it in chat. You get the funny membership badge or the sub badge, or you get to not see ads on Twitch. You know, I understand. And the platforms, you know, they are hosting the live stream using processing power and bandwidth, which, you know, costs money, so understandable that they would want to take a cut. But yeah, I don't know, it is something I think about, that, you know, if you give more directly to the if you give directly to the streamer and not through Twitch or YouTube, then they get more of a cut. And really, shouldn't that be your priority if you are trying to support a person? Again, trying not to, I don't know, make this about me or me begging for for money or whatever. But I'm thinking about it more abstractly, right? Like, what is your goal when you are donating to a streamer, right? It's something that I've literally never done. So I guess it feels a little weird for me to be asking or expecting from other people. But again, I'm not trying to expect from other people. I don't want to make it seem like I'm e-begging that hard. But I don't know. I'm thinking of it more on like a abstract or philosophical like discussion terms, because I know Amanda Splats posted in my on Discord about being scared to set up a throne, and so I guess I was thinking of that too. But yeah, the whole like, yeah, like what is the goal if you're donating to the streamer? You want to support them, right? And I guess it's nice if it's more visible, but if you want to support them, then doesn't it make sense to donate to them through the method that gives the other person the least cut, that gives the most to the streamer directly, right? Like I saw a clip of Frost Prime talking about how he started like his bunny rescue stream, where he's just like streaming his his pet rabbits at home. And how someone in his chat was asking like, should I gift sub to you or to the bunny stream? And his take was that the bunny stream is not partnered. It's not Twitch partner. It's like it still has a 50-50 split, versus his channel is like partner plus and has the 70-30 split on Twitch. So again, I don't know. It's something I think about. Not giving money to the middleman, like how financial companies, financial transaction companies, credit card companies and stuff have such a, I don't know, chokehold or monopoly or whatever over everything, and they're just like skimming. They are the middleman, and they are taking money off of all the purchases, and they are making everything slightly more expensive for you. And they're also making it a losing game not to use their services, because you don't get any benefit as a consumer if you're not getting credit card rewards, right? And me, I never spend more than what I can pay off. So, like, it's only for the rewards, basically. I'm using the credit cards. But every now and then I'll see a business that, like, has a lower price for cash. And so I'll try and pay in cash in that case. Just because, those companies do take a cut of the sales, right? If you want to support a business, you probably want to support the business that is making you the good food, burrito, hamburger, whatever that you always get. You want to support that business more than you want to support, financial transaction intermediary that is hoovering up a ton of, like, extra money off of every purchase. That's a cost that gets passed on to you, the consumer, right? So yeah, I guess that's my philosophy on, I don't know, donating to streamers, I guess, right? You wanna minimize the amount that goes to the middleman, the amount that goes to the platform, as opposed to not supporting the streamer, or even like, VTubers who are in corporations. Like you want to know that some of your money is going to the VTuber directly, right? And not just to, I don't know, whatever other stuff the corpo is spending on. Like merch too, with the whole Niji Sanji 2% thing. I don't even know if anyone's listening. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm tangenting about financial matters that affect us all. Or I guess the streamers more in the case of like donations. $5 a month? So true, Neo. Hello, Marco. I hope you're finding some kind of truth in this. But yeah, I guess I never did like any proper announcement for throwing in stream elements, but the links have been in there. They've been in there a while. Again, not expecting anything. And now I feel weird because by just saying that, now I feel like it's gonna sound like I'm expecting something. Now I'm being the $5 girl. Okay. Again, I will survive without your financial support immediately. If you need the money more than I do, then, take care of yourself first. It's like when they talk about masks in airlines, right? You put the mask on yourself first, and then you help other people. I think you should be like that when it comes to completely unnecessary expenses like donating to a streamer for, I don't know, making your day slightly better. Because I know things are rough. Life can be tough. And I don't know, you gotta be prepared for whatever life throws at you. So, thank you for watching. I think that's a good spot to end the rant on. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Felix Valenti. Thank you, Chica Champon. My hand tracking glitching out again. And again, speaking of like financial matters, like I'm not that inclined to spend $200 on a League Motion so I can get better hand tracking when it's really not a necessary purchase. If anything, I'd rather just like turn off hand tracking if the problematic tracking is extremely bothersome. Or maybe figure out a better webcam setup, because I'm sure if a more, I don't know, less cluttered webcam setup, the hand tracking would be more consistent. Thank you, JPZ. Thank you. Man, we had a long conversation about like No Nut November and internet porn, OnlyFans. Thank you, Chase the Rabbit. Thank you, Soren Sorrel. Thank you, Rez. Thank you, Xeno Goku. Thank you, Danica. Thank you, Justin Impeachable. And thank you, the Twitch viewer who came. Wait, can I see them? Where were they? I think they were like earlier on. Alice Joni, thank you. What else was I gonna do? It would be nice if people watched the video I put out. Also, I'm surprised that people are watching this late at night on a Sunday. So thank you for watching. I would like it if people, one, saw the video I put out, two, helped spread the word about Donna not being able to monetize for what I think are unjust reasons. So please check that out. Like, again, I don't think I'd normally beg for clout or beg for numbers as much as I have for this one specific purpose, which I think is helping out a small creator that, you know, could easily be me in the future if I was in that situation, right? But yeah, check that out. Check out the Half-Life 2 documentary, the 2-hour one. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool if you're a fan of the game, which I assume you are if you're watching, or maybe not necessarily if you're here for me and my yapping. Oh god, I've been yapping for a long time. Who's still up? Who's here? Edit.exe. Here's your unofficial raid. Unofficial raid. Kind of surprised anyone's up this late at on a Sunday night, but there you go. I don't know people's time zones, so maybe I don't know. But yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, good night.
Otsu-neo. Otsu-neo, good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Otsu, Otsu. Otsu, click on the unofficial raid, Otsu. Good night. Bye-bye. Mwah.